buy-in for After Hours, EJ Space, and Rocket Review. Give me the links when I get back, fellas. All right. Yeah, we'll do a new run in Hearts. I forget what we were doing last. I think we played Australia, and we were very successful. Somehow. We'll do a new run. We'll pick something. Pick something weird. Maybe like Poland or something. That's actually not a bad idea. That'd be pretty fun. All right. I'll see you guys in a second.
Tervas kantona tuhkas palaa. Sata kipinää. Sata kipinää. Amorin ollen sä ammuit mun peffaan. Enää halu viedä sua pelkästään leffaan. Rakkauden haukat meille taivaalla kirkkuun. Mun päästä putoruit lanteet seksiä tihkuu. Seksiä tihkuu. Sä veit mun tuohi sydämen pensalla kastoin sen. Sä likin roihahtaa tervas kantona tuhkats palaa. Kuin sata kipinää. Rälläkää mun rakkauden sulle suihkua.
Joo, kaikki mukaan.
Se on laakia vaina kun runtataan. Poika sinne pesään kasvamaan. Ja rakkauden maito kermaksi vatkataan. Vatkataan. Sä veit mun tuohi sydämen pensalla kastoin sen. Sä likin roihahtaa tervas kantona tuhkats palaa. Kuin sata kipinää. Rälläkää mun rakkauden sulle suihkua. Sä veit mun tuohi sydämen pensalla kastoin sen. Sä likin roihahtaa tervas kantona tuhkats palaa. Kuin sata kipinää. Rälläkää mun rakkauden sulle suihkua. Sata kipinää. 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 Amorin ollen sä ammuit mun peffaan. Enää halu viedä sua pelkästään leffaan. Rakkauden haukat meille taivaalla kirkkuun. Mun päästä putoruit lanteet seksiä tihkuu. Seksiä tihkuu. Sä veit mun tuohi sydämen pensalla kastoin sen. Sä likin roihahtaa tervas kantona tuhkats palaa. Kuin sata kipinää. Rälläkää mun rakkauden sulle suihkua.
Joo, kaikki mukaan.
Sävyt mun tuohi sydämen pensalla kastoisen. Se likin roihahtaa tervas kantona tukaks palaa. Kuin sata kipinää. Rälläkkää mun rakkauden sulle suikua. Saatat mun tuohi sydämen pensalla kastoisen. Se likin roihahtaa tervas kantona tuhkas palaa. Kuin sata kipinää. Rälläkkää mun rakkauden sulle suihkua. Sata kipinää. 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 Amorin nuolen sä ammuit mun peffaan. Enää halu viedä sua pelkästään leffaan. Rakkauden haukat meille taivaalla kirkkuun. Mun päästä putoruit lanteet seksiä tihkuu. Seksiä tihkuu. Sävät mun tuohi sydämen pensalla kastoisen. Se likin roihahtaa tervas kantona tuhkas palaa. Kuin sata kipinää. Rälläkkää mun rakkauden sulle suihkua.
No niin. Joo. Kaikki mukaan.
Se on laakia väänä kun runta.
All right, I'm back. I needed to just go walk around the yard for a second, dudes. I'm like bumming that I got all pissed off. Like I don't really like getting mad on stream, but man, that program sucks. This program sucks. I'm not letting it go, man. It's awful. Okay. There is a lot of stuff today. All right, what do we got? Let me go through these links here. And yeah, we'll get everything ready to go for space news. With the dog, what happened? Oh, I was just pissed. I was trying to get something to work in GIMP and I couldn't figure out how to do it. And the way to do it was so counterintuitive that it made me angry. Like that's the best way of saying what happened. Okay, so we do have some Starliner news here. There's stuff about, Jordan Bruno was talking about Raptor. Got stuff from Zach about Starbase, something you guys might might find interesting. Blair's team conducted a flyover around KSC. Ooh, that's cool. Yeah, I'll share that. There's some nice pictures from there. That's a lot of links, dudes. We got a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff to go through. Let's see what's up. We'll start off with that one, Zing. Next week is even busier with space news. Yeah. All right. So, girls, I can't believe he didn't cry at the Titanic. Do men even have feelings? Boys. After 8 years of the Grand Tour, Jeremy Clarkson, Richard Hammond, and James May take the road for one last time. Oh. Yep. The last episode of Grand Tour ever was announced this morning. That sucks. That sucks. That sucks a lot. Yeah. End of an era, man. End of an era. Yeah, it's all right. We still got Clarkson's Farm. James and Richard have their own shows too, but Clarkson's Farm. All right. So Sawyer, I got you've been trying to see this link about Hermes there. That's cool. All right. This is the top news. I'll probably end up sharing this again during space news, but let's go through. So this is coming right from NASA. Let's take a look. Leadership to discuss NASA's Boeing crew flight test. Oh, okay. NASA Administrator Bill Nelson and leadership will hold an internal agency test flight readiness review on Saturday, August 24th for NASA's Boeing crew flight test. All right, NASA Administrator Bill Nelson and leadership will hold an integral agency test flight readiness review on Saturday, August 24th for NASA's Boeing crew flight test. About an hour later, NASA will host a live news conference. Oh, okay. After an hour later, NASA will hold a live news conference at 1 p.m. EDT from the agency's Johnson Space Center in Houston. NASA and Boeing have gathered data both in space and on the ground regarding the Starliner spacecraft's propulsion and helium systems to better understand the ongoing technical challenges. The review will include a mission status update, review of technical data, and closeout actions, as well as certify flight rationale to proceed with undocking and return from the space station. I'll be here for it. Yep. Yeah, it's not really like NASA to just announce something on the weekend like that, but all right. NASA and Boeing's crew wait, let me read this sentence one more time. NASA and Boeing have gathered data both in space and on the ground regarding the Starliner spacecraft propulsion and helium systems to better understand the ongoing technical challenges. The review will include a mission status update, review of technical data, and closeout actions, as well as certify flight rationale to proceed with undocking and return from the space station. Okay. NASA's Boeing crew flight test launch on June 5th on an Atlas V from Slick 41 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida is an end-to-end test of the Starliner system as part of the agency's commercial crew program. Through partnership with American private industry, NASA is opening access to low Earth orbit and the space station to more people, science, and commercial opportunities. Yeah, the weekend. It doesn't say anything about it being manned or unmanned. Yep. Yep. Well, we'll have to see. That's going to be a fun day. So it looks like you guys got me for 6 days this week. All right. Let me get the rest of this stuff all cleared out over. Actually, you know what? We can just tee it right here. Let's go. So let's keep going with NASA. So this is another press release from NASA. NASA selects 3 new venture class launch service providers. NASA selected 3 additional companies to provide launch services for future agency missions through its venture class acquisition of dedicated and rideshare contractor, Vader. Starliner update on Saturday at 1. Hellfish. Companies awarded are Aerospace and Technology of Webster, Impulse Space or Redondo Beach, that's Tom Mueller's company, which is cool. Momentous Space, LLC of San Jose. The Vader contract is a firm fixed price, indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity instrument with an ordering period through February 2027, and a maximum total value of $300 million across all Vader contracts. NASA selected the new launch providers in accordance with Vader's on-ramp provision, allowing the agency to add new capabilities not available or identified at the time of the initial award. Yeah, Erudite, it's part of the news. Yeah. This is some technology, like dedication and rideshare. This is NASA investing in technologies that they could use for future things, basically. One of them is Tom Mueller's company, so that's Impulse Space. That's cool. Tom Mueller is the guy that engineered the Merlin engine and the Kestrel engine and the Draco engine and the Super Draco engine. Guess who he worked for a long time? I bet you can't guess. So that's cool. 300 million through 2027 is pretty sweet. So the Polaris Dawn mission, guys, got moved to Tuesday, same time. They moved it back a day, but that didn't stop the Polaris Dawn crew from conducting practice flyovers at Kennedy Space Center this morning ahead of Falcon 9 going vertical on the pad.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Tom Schultz. Nice, nice, nice. Technically, the 3 companies you see are just going to buy slots or docking rings on a payload adapter on missions like Transporter and then use their own space tug to deploy the payload. Yeah, that's cool. What is that camo? Gray and black? I don't know what that color is, but yeah, these are some pretty cool pictures. Oh, hang on. We could use this to see any construction happening over here? Those jets have really small engines? You don't need much. Are those T-38s? Those are Dornier Alpha jets. When NASA gives them permission for flyblys, the squadron call sign is Ghost. Cool. Yeah, see? It doesn't look like anything's been happening here at 39 for some time. Lot of overgrowth. See the grass? Interesting. Interesting. Are they trainers? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Sweet pictures. Oh, dude, another good shot. All right, anything going on out here? See any construction equipment? No, not really. Doesn't look like anything's been happening there for some time. Which begs the question, what is SpaceX doing? What are they doing here? Not as cool as the new Boeing trainer, but cooler than an L-39. I'm telling you, man, someone needs to hook up Rook with some freaking T-38s, dude. It's not like we don't have enough of those. Yeah, doesn't really look like anything is happening over here. Yeah, just so this is where Starship's pad was. There was a bunch of pillars there to mount the orbital launch mount, but that never, yeah, they knocked him down a little while ago. Isn't a T-38 also a Soviet tank? No. I mean, maybe? I don't know. I'm talking about that. That's a U.S. trainer. It's basically a jet with no guns on it. But it's designed it's designed to train people on flying around a 2-engine jet fighter. It's interesting. Nothing's going on here, which seems like SpaceX has changed the design, which that kind of reads correctly. That kind of reads correctly, given what's going on. There are... Oh, greenhouse. What is this on the greenhouse? Job applications for a launch engineer for Starship Stage 0 and mechanical engineer. Also, really nice pictures. Cool. It's pretty rad, dude. It's a pretty good picture. These went up this week. I was gonna say, dude, look at all the overgrowth. See all the grass? So the dirt roads aren't fresh. Stuff hasn't been driving around on them. And in Florida, you don't drive around on something, nature will reclaim it very quickly. It's very interesting. Doesn't look like anything's been happening here for a little while. The noses are too pointy, though. Where would a flame trench run here? You'd have a hard time doing it. Journey, you'd have a hard time getting that done. But also at the same time, there's a really nice flame trench that's designed for this type of thrust sitting right there. It's right there. See, this is kind of, I've been kind of saying like, oh, I hope SpaceX, uses that part of 39A for Starship and not over here. I never understood using this part over here. That doesn't make any sense, right? Like, I mean, it kind of does. I've always said like use Starship for this. You have the infrastructure right there already ready to go for Starship, right? And if you're going to do that, a mobile launcher makes a lot of sense, right? I mean, now mobile launchers don't make them the interesting thing is that they don't really make that much sense with the catch tower, right? The integration tower, because you don't need to move the pad, right? But can you do that to historic pad 39A? I don't know. Maybe the tower will be a landing pad. This one maybe could be a catch tower, right? But yeah, I don't know, man. You have your flame deflector there, and it's clear that they need one. Because, yeah, look, no one's been working on that in a long time. Now, with that all being said, I'll just go right to this real quick. So that's cool for the Polaris program. But here, check this out. So Zach found this on RGV last night. This might not be the most exciting news of the day, depending on who you are. There's now a CFA drilling rig set up in this location at the Sanchez site. Looks like some heavy-duty foundations will be created soon. Maybe something extremely heavy and potentially mobile will be assembled here. So the Sanchez site is where they have the jigs to make the tower modules. And you could see from the jigs from the tower modules, they're building something there that is a lot bigger than a tower module. See the jigs for the modules right there? See what I'm talking about? So something big is going in there. Something very big. Something also mobile. I don't think it's a mobile tower, Blinga. To be honest with you guys, they're testing a new flame trench at Pad B. To be honest, I think SpaceX is going to make modular OLMs or something. I think 39A Starship Pad is waiting on Boca Pad 2 performance. The problem is with Pad 1, the way it works, they can't put a booster back. They can't put a booster back on it. So they'll have no choice to vent down booster 12 on its own and then put it on a transport stand. What do you mean they have no way to put the booster back on it? I don't understand. What do you mean, Erudite? Is there something I missed here? Kind of need the OLM for safing super heavy, although obviously them going to catch seems to suggest otherwise. Elon stated it in Tim's interview that OLM2 will have a completely new clamp design. Oh. Gerst confirmed a while ago they're going with a new design for Kennedy, same as the new tower in Boca. They want to prove the design first because it's an all-new launch ring and flame diverter. Well, they could barely fit the tower sections down Highway 4. Yeah. Curious. Very curious. More happening on Geonosis. More happening on Geonosis, I fear, than what has been revealed. I think it will look like the new ship static fire ring transporter. Yeah. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it'd be nice if they had an ML, but once again, mobile launchers don't really work with Starship's architecture. However, you know, you go back and look at this picture. You want to get anything useful up over this flame trench right here, you're going to need something that picks up on the ML pegs or something. You know, even if you built your integration tower basically exactly where that fixed service structure is, which personally that would be really cool. I hope they do that at some point, right? You do something like that, right? The pad has a bit of aggregate space. Here, there's like a whole area off to the side that you can use to move stuff around. Just because of the way they did the clean pad design with these things. Here, I'll show you. So if you're looking at 39, right, we can turn off 3D buildings or don't, whatever. Picture's still all screwed up. All right, so 39 has 6 pegs. Both of them do. There's one, you can see one there, one there. There's one here, one here, one here, and one there. Right? So if you took your tower, right? The tower is over here right now. If you took the tower and you put your tower right here, right? You could roll starships up the pad on the side here. There's no way this thing can't hold it, right? You could roll them across here, right? and you could have chopsticks pick the thing up right here and put it on the pad. It might not end up being a mobile launcher, guys, but point is that you could easily make something that adapts onto these pegs, and those pegs right there are good for 15 million pounds. So what is that, like 7 million tons or something? They can hold up. They're designed to hold up Saturn V and its launch pad. So it'll easily hold an OLM ring and Starship. Like maybe, I don't know. But the interesting thing is that if you do something like that, right? If they do something like that and they get rid of the HIF, that opens up the door for SpaceX to be able to transport boosters. They could use the crawler way to transport the boosters back and forth. Store the boosters in the VAB, right? Instead of storing them outside. They could do that. You could have a mobile launcher that's basically just an MLP, right? That thing right there. See? Those are the things that pick up on those pegs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, right? You could have one of these that's just used to move boosters back and forth. And SpaceX could buy the other crawler transporter, and you could use that to move Super Heavy and Starship, multiple Super Heavies and multiple Starships back and forth on the crawler way. Now, I know what people are going to say. Why? Why would you do that? I don't know. Might be a cool idea. Use what you already have. Because it's very clear that SpaceX needs a flame trench. They need a flame trench. The OLM ring is not cutting it. Right? Look, all I'm saying is that there's a flame diverter in this thing that's good for about 10 million pounds of thrust. Might not be able to take Starship. It might be able to take 15. Maybe. Really depends. You can modify the crawler to move around a transport stool. Basically make the crawler into a gigantic SPMT, right? And you could have that thing drive up here, have the chopsticks pull stuff off of it, and put stuff right onto the pad. And then you move this sucker away, you move it back down here where they would put it basically during shuttle missions, right? And then you do your booster catch, you do your booster landing, you're good to go. You know, you could just back it right up, and you could drive back over here, chopsticks, put the thing right back on the crawler, and then you could move it all the way back to the VAB. Right? Another thing that you could do is if they made an OLM that picked up on the original Saturn V launch pegs at 39 right here, if you did something like that, right? If your OLM breaks or something goes wrong, you could just pick it up and move it. Pick up the whole thing and move it. The crawler transporter could do that easily. It could easily do that. They were built to spec for Nova, so they could take whatever the thrust is of 8 F1 engines. And knowing Von Braun and crew, they probably over-engineered them for even that, knowing them. These pads are monstrous. They're designed to take a rocket that's way bigger than a Saturn V. That was by design, just like the VAB. Yeah, not only do they probably need a flame trench, but I think it was Zach who said it. OLM-1 may be heavy speculation, has only 20 to 30 launches in it. Yep. I think SpaceX should rip the Band-Aid off, and they should get rid of the HIF, or at least just move the building over here, right? Or move that entire building to another pad. Just take the entire HIF, disassemble the whole damn thing, and move it somewhere else. I've heard that Slick 37B is on the table. Good. Take the HIF, put it down, bring it down here. Put the HIF right there. Or better yet, just demolish it. You have the Delta IV HIF. Could do that. Just build some train tracks up to the launch pad. Done. You could do that. Right? How cool would that actually be? And then take 39A and use it for what it was freaking supposed to be used for. Slick 40 already has a crew tower. You don't need to worry about losing crew launches from 39A. As long as we have a Falcon Heavy pad somewhere, right? If you engineered this to the same thing, you could take the transporter erector from the VIF, or from the horizontal integration facility, you could move it, break it down into pieces, and move it somewhere else. Is SpaceX taking over 37B? I don't know. I don't know. The pegs should be built to Nova, right? Well, Aqualux, here's the thing. Those pegs probably wouldn't be able to take a fully fueled Starship in a full, like with a full OLM. Probably not a good idea. Slick 40 cannot do Falcon Heavy Blinken. No, it doesn't have, it's not wide enough. The trench isn't wide enough. What's that, Phil? So I'm saying that SpaceX doing this. Ooh, what is this? What do you got? What is this? What do we got? What is that? Environmental impact statement for SpaceX Super Heavy launch vehicle from 39A. Where was this? When did this come out? Oh, I was on the road. How have I not seen this? Yeah, I was on the road. We were driving when this came out. What is this? What is this? I'm going to skip all over the text and we're going to go right to the pictures. Ew. Catch tower. When is the next road trip? I'll get back to you on that one. Long Starship isn't real. It can't hurt you. You're welcome. Yeah, this is lame. This is the lame way of doing this. Up to 44 day and night launches per year at 39A. Up to 44. Yeah, Supercraft, right? It's probably not right anymore anyway. I'm telling you, man, use the crawlers. They were built for stuff like this. Anyway, you were talking about the pegs. The pegs might not be heavy enough, but the pegs at 39B that NASA re-engineered, those ones, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, those ones can take SLS with 5-segment SRBs fully fueled. And the core stage and everything else on top of it. So those, it's already been redesigned. $150 Starship launches per year from all pads is what SpaceX is proposing. Wouldn't they be good enough? Weren't they built to... Starship Super Heavy fully fueled's a little bit heavier than Nova fully fueled, dude. Yeah, it's also the thrust. I'm not sure if this would take it. You might need something... You might need something more hardcore. Hey, Sean, how are you? Yeah, Theo, I kind of agree with you, but, you know, my environment. To be honest, I think the Merritt Island Wildlife Refuge has something way more serious to worry about than friggin' rocket launches. There's that whole ocean wants to eat Florida thing that's going on over here. Yeah, see right here? Watch. Give it a second. Yeah, see? See the train tracks? There are nice train tracks here in 2013. Nice rail lines, so you had rail access to, you know, 39A and 39B. See that? That was for bringing in fuel via train. Yeah, that's what they used to do. They used to just, you know, just bringing in fuel. There's a, yeah, train fueling port right there. Well, at least there was once upon a time. Yeah, take a look. Yeah, see, watch, ready? Boop. Whoops. Yeah, that's gone. Yeah, that's gone. It's all gone. Yeah, Hurricane decided that that railroad track didn't need to be there anymore. Hurricane decided that railroad track just didn't need to be there. Could they do this at Boca Chica? There is a railroad right away, Blinga, if I'm remembering right, but it's really old. It's from like the Civil War era. Yeah, also, you know, that one might not be erosion. That might just be, you know, don't put your railroad tracks next to a place where hurricanes hit. You could have made the railroad tracks come this way with the crawler way, because there is definitely a right of way, like right here. You could have just see the tracks. Like you could have just done that and just made the railroad track just go a little further. Anyway, yeah, I really think SpaceX should utilize the crawler transporter. They should absolutely do it. At the very least, to move starships around, dude. Because I know what people are going to say. Well, yeah, why don't they just use SPMTs? Dude, the crawler transporter could move like 6 stacks all at once if it really wanted to. Empty starships don't weigh anything. It's just, remember, the thing can move a fully fueled shuttle stack. Well, fully solid fueled shuttle stack, right? So it'd be cool to see SpaceX utilize that. And SpaceX, it isn't above SpaceX of using ex-NASA hardware to move stuff around. They have the Falcon 9 transporter that was a shuttle transporter for a long time, too. Anyway. But yeah, they're very clearly working on something. So Zach has the thing from RGV. See right there? They're working on something heavy right there. Should have placed railroads with tree barriers. I don't think they gave a frick about that in the 60s though, Rick. You know? An empty super heavy Starship stack is 300 tons. Yeah, that's nothing. 6 million pounds, give or take, 6.5 million pounds. Crawler transporter can move that, no problem. Easy peasy. Yeah, it could move a full stack, easy. I mean, guys, like once again, the whole thing is that I don't think SpaceX needs to re-engineer they don't need to reinvent the wheel here. This was already invented to do this exact thing. That's why they built it. And High Bay 1 is just sitting there. It's ready to go. Just saying. It's not ready to go, but it wouldn't take much. You could just make that your Starship garage. You know, no need for integration. Just use the big gantry crane in there to store starships in the walls. That's what they do that's what they could do in the VAB. The VAB High Bay 4 over here for the longest time, and High Bay 4 and High Bay 1. Or no. So that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. So High Bay 2 and 4 were used to store external tanks for shuttle missions. You could build 2 stacks in the VAB. Yeah, and then the other 2 over here were used for shuttles. Yeah, they store them in the walls. Yep. Here, look, I'll show you. So in each bay inside of the VAB, you have provisions here on the sides for these mobile gantries, right? This is inside of High Bay 3. You have all these provisions for mobile gantries, and then when the rocket is stacked, these things can move out like kitchen drawers, right? And they can surround the rocket. In High Bay 2 and 4, you don't have any of this, but you do have the gantry crane, right? So what they did during the shuttle era was they stored like 2 or 3 external tanks just here, stacked on top of each other. Like, so the VAB is tall enough to hold 2. They just had 2 of them stacked on top of each other on either side here. Oh, yeah. Crazy. In a good way. Really, really neat, actually. Yeah, see, they have these modular components like that. That one is left over from the shuttle era, I think. Let's see. Yeah, there they are. You could see that's the same. That's High Bay 3 again, but you see these pieces right here? The VAB was built modular like this on purpose so you could reconfigure these platforms for any rocket as long as you're under 300 feet tall. Or 350 feet, excuse me. Crazy. Yep. Yeah, there's that old render from James Vaughn right here. Too bad the ML is facing the wrong direction. Yep. You could do something like that. It's possible. Look, man, all that stuff was built for that exact purpose. It was built to do stuff like that, and NASA clearly doesn't have that as their priority, right? Quoting Zach, Super Heavy is obese. Super Heavy was supposed to be 250 tons. However, all the retrofits have risen its mass to an estimated 270 to 280 tons. Hence their urgency to practically just delete Super Heavy skirt shielding. If my memory is correct from Zach's video, he believes that SpaceX is really not too keen with the current Super Heavy dry mass and is doing everything able to delete skirt shielding. Yeah, because Starship in this configuration, guys, really doesn't have a high payload capacity to orbit. From what I understand, it's not very high. It's like 40 tons or something. Yeah, actually, probably even less. Interesting. I'm just thinking, yeah, maybe, I don't know, like, once again, I want there to be a mobile launcher, but I don't, it just doesn't really make sense with Starship's architecture. Now, a quicker way to transport Starships and Super Heavies, that makes way more sense. But why wouldn't SpaceX just use the SPMTs? Use what they developed at Boca Chica when it eventually goes to the Cape. Now, don't get me wrong, you could still store Starships in the VAB, just like they store them in the high bay, right? You could store Starships and Super Heavies in the VAB and have plenty of space, right? Which is probably, I think, what they'll end up doing. But that still kind of sucks, It'd still be cool to see a Starship stack roll out of the VAB, but it's probably not going to happen. I mean, maybe. Raptor 3 alone will save more than 50 tons out of the booster, too. Yep. Nova was supposed to be 4.5 million kilograms approximately combined fuel. Super Heavy and Starship is 4.9. Saturn V was just shy of 3 million at its heaviest. SLS is only 2.7 million. Pads pegs would likely need overhaul if you want to carry a mobile launcher and Starship and Super Heavy. Are you sure 2.7 million kilograms? Are you sure about that? It's 8.8 million pounds. There's no way it's that light. Not a chance. With solid rocket, with 5-segment solid rocket fuel? No. Solid SRB? No. There's no way that's right. What are you talking about? There's no way it's that much. Or that less. Looks like you were right about the RFA failure. Oh. Was I? This is coming from a website called EuropeanSpaceflight.com. Well, you wouldn't need to carry the tower with the Starship. Yeah, Fish, that's what I'm saying. It would be a mobile launcher platform because the tower is already going to be there. And the tower, you're not making that mobile. I really don't think so. Something that needs to catch the booster like that needs to be well and anchored into the ground, right? Results of a preliminary investigation into what caused RFA-1 stage to burst into flames have been identified as an oxygen fire in one of their turbo pumps. On August 19th, German launch provider Rocket Factory Augsburg conducted a static fire test of the first stage of its RFA-1 rocket on the company's launch pad at Saxford Spaceport in Scotland. Well, the stage had already completed 2 short static fire tests. The August 19 test was the first to test all 9 of its Helix rocket engines. Oh, Block 1, Rem. What? Anyway, a video captured by the BBC shows an explosion occurring just as all 9 engines ignite. A horizontal stream of flames then appeared, followed by the entire stage going up in flames, resulting in its complete destruction. In an update on LinkedIn on the 22nd of August, RFA Chief Operating Officer Stefan Breischenk announced that the company had completed an initial internal review. In what Dr. Breischenk describes as very preliminary findings, he explained that the company has identified an oxygen fire in one of the turbo pumps as the root cause. That engine and that turbo pump have run before without issues. 8 engines ignited. We had multiple backup and safety systems in place that were supposed to shut everything down, but things did not align on Monday as planned. Monday evening was a nightmare. The dream is alive and will make it reality. Yeah, that's... A nightmare is a good way to describe that. Seeing your baby go up in flames like that, that really sucks. Like, you know, that's happened to me in Kerbal many times, and I can assure you that that is a awful feeling in KSP. It is a very awful feeling. I can only imagine what it's like if, you know, your test article blows up, or your second stage pops, or your second stage implodes. Or your rocket blows up on the pad, or your rocket shoots sideways off the pad, or your rocket blows up on the pad, again, because of solid oxygen permeation. Yeah, sucks. Especially when you can't just revert. Yep, but you get to build a new one that's even better. That's right, yep. Have you ever had a fish tank? When I was a lot younger, Plums, yeah, sure. Or your new part doesn't show up in KSP. Small sat launch vehicles are really struggling and have been for years. It's sad to see. Hey, this stuff's difficult, man. I had an HBR pop too hard and break shock cords. Ugh. Here's the post if you want to read it. Yeah, I'd rather go right to the source anyway. All right. This is a tough post to write. On Monday, we faced one of the hardest moments in our journey at Rocket Factory Augsburg. During a hot fire test of our first stage, an engine anomaly led to a fire where we were unable to contain and we lost the stage. Yep. Honestly, I'll be honest, it hurts so dang bad. Yep. All the blood, sweat, and tears that we put into this lost. I was unable to sleep for the last couple of days and was overcome with dizziness every time I tried to close my eyes. Yeah, it's... My friends and family are invested into this, and I cannot fail them. I can't fail the team, the investors, the suppliers, the supporting institutions, the country, the European Union. I cannot fail on the belief that small, high-performance rockets can be built with an automotive mindset to reduce costs to a point where this becomes a major disruption. Yeah. Engineering is about pushing the boundaries, embracing the unknown, and creating things that have not existed before. At RFA, we embrace sparse matrix engineering, rapid innovation, and iteration through testing. Going out into the field testing something is many times harder than iterating systems in a computer. Yep. I have a frequent thought that plagues me. I've done this for so many years now. Why Why cannot I take this way more easy and slow down? Why do I push so hard? Every time! Well, every time we do this the hard way and get into the test, we learn things that we could not have possibly learned from a simulation, so testing is key. Yep. Testing comes with inherent risk. Not every test goes as planned, and setbacks are part of the process. Losing an entire stage so close to launch, though, was tough. Losing an entire stage so close to launch, though, was not anywhere in your mind. Sorry, I read that wrong. So right now, we're analyzing the details and assessing the situation. We had a close look at all the hardware on site and finished an internal review a few minutes ago. The root cause at this very preliminary stage seems to have been an oxygen fire in one of the turbo pumps. That engine and that turbo pump have run before without issues. 8 engines ignited. We have multiple backup and safety systems in place that were supposed to shut everything down, but things did not align on Monday. Hard to shut them down when they're blown up. Yeah, people, this is something that I talk about a lot. You could do all the testing and all the simulation in the world, all you want. You could do all of it in the world. Nothing substitutes flying. At some point, you have to put the thing on the pad and send it. Our team is working hard to make sure we come back stronger. If there's one thing I learned on this journey, it's that Team RFA is ultra resilient, dedicated, and relentless to our pursuit of excellence. We will bounce back from this, and our best days are still ahead. We're more determined than ever to achieve our mission and get first test flight as soon as possible. Thanks to everyone who has already reached out with support for us. We're going to overcome this. Yeah, their turbo pump popped. I'm telling you, anytime you see a rud like that happen and sparks fly everywhere, like somebody's taking an angle grinder to metal, well, it's because that turbo pump decided it wanted to be an angle grinder. So the turbo pump popped, and it started, that's like worst case scenario, dudes, because it starts shooting out shrapnel everywhere. Yeah, that's what all those sparks are when they go to start. That's what happened there. Now, here's the thing. They said that they'd used that engine multiple times before. What changed? What did you change? What did you do? What changed? They got to go back and they got to figure out everything that they did from that motor the last time it fired to now. That's going to take a long time. Well, they said they're going to go fast. It might not take as long as we want. That's a lot. Let me put it this way. That's a lot of data to look through. Test article is toast, Finn. No, it's toast. Like Kerbal, crash your rocket into the ground, toast. It's gone. Could have been metal fatigue. If it's metal fatigue, not great. Not great, because that means it's exposing something in your engineering that you didn't expect. It's exposing a failure mode. They said they could be anything I wanted. That turbo pump, probably. Yep. It's, no good, man. Yeah, that sucks. I mean, it's, like I said, dude, it's not even my rocket. That stuff's still difficult to watch. It's really, really, it's tough. It's tough to see that happen. You don't want to see that happen to anybody. Like, it's hard to watch. Anyway, who was this? Rocket Factory Augsburg. Their rocket. So they had a hard start. One of their turbo pumps decided to turbo pump int and decided to just shoot, from what it sounds like, decided to just shoot shrapnel out all over the bottom of the rocket. It caused a fuel leak and an oxidizer leak, and that was the end of that. Yeah, it's really hard to figure it out. Yeah, Black, that's a good point. It's hard to trace fault tree on that turbo pump because it most likely melted from the ensuing fire that just blew up the entire stage, which, yeah, sucks. It was a test firing, Teague. Yep, it was a test fire, dudes. Not even angle grinders are supposed to do that. Yeah, exactly, right? It was a test firing. It blew up on the test stand, which really sucks. Yeah. I'm telling you, that footage is tough to watch, dude. That footage is, it's hard. Like, I watched it the other day on stream, and I'm just like, boy. Okay. I'm just getting the rest of the news. So, what else do we got here? Let's get a little bit of a lighter note from Hermeus. Hermeus is working on next generation aircraft propulsion. We're getting a lot of reps in taxi testing from Quarterhouse Mark 1. These repeated runs allow us to gather data for all integrated systems, from flight deck to the vehicle to ground support equipment and air traffic coordination. Medium and high speed taxi runs are up next, then first flight. Yeah, this is their plan. Look at this thing, dude. This thing is pretty cool looking, huh? Here, headphone users, be careful. Yeah, okay, it's fine. Cool. Cranes. I like cranes. It's cool. Anything else from oh.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Huh? What? Boom just did a taxi test too? What? Really? Oh, hey. XB1 is working towards flight 2 with our digital roll stability. All right. Hey, easy. What's up, man? Hello, my friend. Always thankful for the great content. Could you give a quick primer on why FRAM2 is such a big deal and why a polar orbit is so difficult? Delta V considerations, a lot easy, have a lot to do with it. Up there, you don't have as much radiation shielding. Yeah, the magnetic field is not weaker. Yeah, weaker would be the right way to say it. It's not as powerful or not as strong at the poles. It's really powerful around the edges because magnetic field. FRAM2 is another ballsy mission, but it should be cool. I don't think it's as crazy as Polariston. Polariston's insane. Like, in a good way. The good kind of insane. Yes, Nubian. We got lots of that. So, yeah. Nobody's ever gone to polar orbit before because, yeah. Your local robots are at it again. Yeah. All right. Quick side thing. Atlas. Spot. Yeah, this was from April 17th. Looks like they've upgraded it since then. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I liked it better when it was doing push-ups. I liked it better when it was doing push-ups, dudes. Can we go back to jets? Holy crap. That was weird. XP1 is working towards Flight 2 with our new digital roll stability system. We uncovered a race condition. Uh-oh. We uncovered a race condition in testing, so we took time to address. As we speak, XB1 is on the runway confirming our fix. If today goes well, Flight 2 will be quite soon. Race conditions. Not good. Now we need artificial flesh and we're good. I don't, dude, the thing with the legs, I'm like, nah, I'm okay. I'm okay. Yeah. Update went great. Oh, there it is. Race conditions. So a race condition is something that happens in software where two pieces of code are trying to command the same thing. So like in flight, right? If you had a fly-by-wire system, right? And you pulled back and to the right on the joystick, right? So you pulled full pitch and you commanded full pitch and full yaw. Sometimes the control systems might overlap. Like it's a little more complicated than that. I'm being very general with it. So basically what happens is each bit of code is kind of racing each other to get control, and they kind of end up muscling things back and forth. And that can create like flutter in control surfaces on planes and stuff. Or a race condition could be with like thrust vector control on a rocket, and yeah, that kind of stuff happens. They basically race each other to see who can gain control. It's like arm wrestling. Like your pieces of code are arm wrestling each other. Yeah, you could flood you could basically flood your own system with data. It's bad. Race conditions aren't good, especially when you're flying a plane. But it looks like they've updated XB1 and they're good to go. It still kind of blows my mind that that thing is a thing. The XB1 is an actual plane. Like, ooh, I wish. Soon. Momento. I'm trying to see if they have a picture of the XB1. But... full scale overture mock-up. Passenger experience lab. All right. In the thread. Update went great. Curious, what's the software stack environment looks like for flight system? What kind of CPU hardware do you run, and what programming language tools do you use to develop the ship and test software? XB1 runs Linux-based OS with Red Hawk RTOS kernel on Intel CPUs in mil-spec cases. Most code is in C++. MFD uses multifunction display uses OpenGL. Oh, geez. Why? Oh, geez. We do everything you'd hope. Git, peer code reviews, etc. Flight software is automatically built and deployed to the sim, and hardware in the loop nightly. C++, huh? Why C++? Why C++? There's the Rust question. Serious, is this the part where a bunch of people who do software engineering come in and say their favorite code and say that this code, this language is the best one?
Is this that part? Why not C++? Why not C sharp? Hey, I know how to code in C++. I did some coding for Star Siege Tribes for C++ in 2000. But Russ is memory safe. I just noticed space was in your trending on X. Artemis. We'll see what it is. Hey, all right. European Service Module number 3. Hey, wait, hold on. Oh, God, why? What the frick, guys? Ow! What? Who edited this damn video? Yep, put it in its cover. Little case right there. Airbus. They're aerospace engineers, not audio engineers. I was elected to lead, not to read. Yep, that's the European Service Module. Does it have the AJ10 installed? It doesn't. Why doesn't it? Why doesn't it have that? Okay, that's weird. Yeah, that's one of 3 thus far. One is ESM 1 is gone. That was on Artemis 1. ESM 2 is at the Cape, and there's ESM 3. Yeah, they'll probably install it at the Cape. Yeah, that's my guess. I'll apply as the music producer for Airbus stuff. Yeah, there you go. JavaScript rules. OpenGL on the MFD, though. Okay. Not gonna lie, I'm not a fan of the ESM for deep space exploration. Yeah, I know. It's useless for that. Orion and its ESM are designed to work with much bigger transfer vehicles. The idea is that the ESM is only going to get you enough to be a lifeboat and get away from the transfer vehicle if something goes very wrong. Other than that, for like lunar exploration, it's pretty useless. Yep. Yeah, it's done. As a wise man once said, C makes it easy to shoot yourself in the foot. C++ makes it harder, but when you do, it blows your whole leg off. Oh. Okay. Modern OpenGL ain't that bad. It's buffer-based and less so state machine-based. Those are words that I understood, Deadbringer, but, you know, I'll take your word for it. I trust you. That seems to be what's trending for Artemis. Yeah, they, yeah. The service module is not good enough. It's not good enough for lunar exploration in the interim. I think that's the whole reason why they decided, like, well, gateway. Yep. How's that working out? Anyway. There's a reserved parking space at Boom? Hold on. Reserved for the chief desk pilot. All right. Why that space? Speaking of SLS, what, this one right here? I already got that open. Check out the Daily Hopper today. Keeping it cool. Since the SLS core stage for Artemis 2 arrived at Kennedy, teams with EGS have been preparing it for weighing and stacking. Well, in the VAB, environmental control systems keep the inside of the inside of the core stage and its 4RS-25 engines in prime condition by replacing the warm, salty Florida air and its corrosive properties with cool, clean air. And yet, just air condition the VAB? No. Hey, predominant. Different times. Yeah, and yet that S2 is just basically got all of its guts hanging out the bottom, and the inner stage is, they don't care. Damn. No. The SLS core stage is way more complicated than an S2. The reason why is because it's basically an S1C and an S2 combined. But yeah, still cool. Yeah, you got HVAC stuff. You really don't want... Yeah, because the VAB is not climate controlled, guys. It's basically a windbreak. Yeah. Like the high bays at Boca Chica. That's what the VAB is. It's that they keep the doors open and yeah, stuff flows through them. Like air goes through them. Like they're not climate controlled. How long did the Saturn V stages sit around waiting? Not very long because they launched them. Yeah, it had its own weather inside. If it'll greenhouse itself. Yeah, it'll do that. But then they started opening up the doors to get convection through it, so that doesn't happen much anymore. So who's going to tell him the mega bays do have air conditioning? Creeper, is this the part where you go, well, you know, one part that's the size of my peepee in the very small corner of the mega bay has air conditioning. So technically the whole thing has air conditioning. No, it doesn't. It has a big open door in it. That's not air conditioning. Now, components inside of it, smaller components inside of it, yes, but that's not what we're talking about at all. By that logic, the VAB is air conditioned too because it's attached to the launch control center and that has air conditioning in it. What are you talking about? Here, watch this video of a Centaur being put together. Well, Atlas V upper stage. Check that out. Tori Bruno provided this footage, which is super cool. This is integration and stacking of a Centaur 3 before it goes to the vertical integration facility. This is for an Atlas 500 series, so it has the conic interstage adapter, and then there's the Centaur forward load reactor that they're going to install here, those things. Oh, that's so cool. Your mom has air conditioning. She does, Mason. Actually, her conditioner just broke, and my brother-in-law had to go fix it. He's an HVAC guy. He had to go fix it. That's so cool, dude. Picture of stacking operations. Building rockets, man. So, Creeper, you're just gonna sit there and not say anything? What part of the mega bay is air conditioning? It has air conditioning? Please let me know. I'm curious now. Probably, if I had to guess, the engine installation cell probably does. Oh, that's sick. Let's get in the pic. Check your Discord. Anonymous gifter. Predominant gifted a sub to small PP. It was anonymous. Jeez. I mean, Creeper, yeah, if you want to count that, I suppose. I don't think that's... I mean, there are condensers down there, but I don't... Dude, I don't think that's enough to keep that whole thing air conditioned. Do you? It seems like they're only air conditioning certain things. Up here might have air conditioning. Those condensers would be enough for that up there. Yeah, maybe. That one, I'm not sure what that thing is, though. The condensers are right there. I don't think that's enough. That's not adequate enough for the entire building, dude. It's probably air conditioning stuff like smaller things inside of the building. Humidity control, not temperature control. Lowering the humidity will lower the feel like lowering the temperature. They might be taking the humidity out element, yeah. It would get colder when they do that, though. Or at least it would feel colder. I mean, that's what an air conditioner does, guys. An air conditioner just pulls the humidity out of the air. It's more than the VAB has. Is it, though? Anonymous gifter gifted a sub to Humidititties. You gotta keep them cool. gotta keep him cool. Okay, straight up, who gifted that sub? Like, I know it's anonymous. Please let me know, because that's very strange. My that exact word came up in conversation outside of the stream. I'm not gonna say who or where, but that's very strange. That was you.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Hey, what's up, Barry? 12 years of watching. Geez, time flies. What's up, man? Creeper, like I said, the high bays are not, the high bays in the VAB are not. There are other parts that are air conditioning, that are air conditioned. See those condensers there, dude? That's like for that big ass condenser. Like, look at it next to the cars. It's freaking huge. It looks like its own building, right? That freaking thing is only for like not even the transfer aisle. It's like for right here, and the LCC, and that's about it. You'd need an air conditioner to air condition the entire VAB and make that all climate controlled. You'd need a row of condensers, probably like as big as that field. Easily as big as that field. Yeah, HVAC is a pain in the butt, dude. I know these side buildings here are air conditioned, and once again, I know that, like, so we saw Ship 26 go in on the test stand the other day, right? There's that glass enclosure that they use to pull engines out and put engines in. That's air conditioning. That is absolutely climate controlled. Yeah, absolutely. I'll bet you that's what those condensers are for, dude. So yeah, good eye, man. Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong, but yeah, that's not enough. This is not enough. But yeah, I actually didn't know that. So, yeah. You've been watching those RGVs, huh? RGV spotted this arriving. There's location for 5 of these. They'll air condition the high bays. 5 of those, not enough. Small PP gets a gifted sub, but not me. The VAB is so big, it'd make for a pretty good draft tower. Just put wet cloth up in one of the bays and you got yourself a cooler. Yeah, right. But anyway, yeah, Creeper, thank you for showing me that. I thought you were trying to get me with a gotcha. I'm like, shut up, man. So this is an RGV aerial. Yeah, that's a Freightliner. Swamp cooler VAB. You don't want humidity around rockets. That's bad. Ask Blue Origin why. Ask Blue Origin why you don't want humidity around your rockets. Oh, I'm going to hell. I'm going to hell for that one. Ask them why. Ask me about my rocket.
Oh, this is space. I'm in space.
Also gifted us up to long balls. Wait, what did I miss? So, fish blue, supposedly. We don't know this for sure, okay? We don't know this for sure. I heard this from a guy. Actually, it was in a Bloomberg article, so, I mean, take it for what it's worth. Blue Origin built this. They had the second stage for the second flight for New Glenn, right? And they moved it outside because they needed room because they were moving around something, whatever, right? And then they decided to move it inside very quickly without hooking up any HVAC to it, and put it in a nice air-conditioned room. And it imploded, Mythbusters style. Oh, there you go, say people. That's neat. Yep. That's supposed. We don't know that for sure. But the Bloomberg article also said that that Blue Origin had a catastrophic failure on their they had a catastrophic failure of their third flight stage. So Glenn stage 2, flight 3, they were testing it in their tank cleaning or second stage cleaning and testing cell right here down at the Cape. Julia Bergeron took this picture for NSF. So here's the interesting thing. The 2CAT right there is the, well, like I said, second stage tank cleaning and testing. So here, look. So this is another picture from Julia Bergeron. So 2CAT right here. This is where they test New Glenn second stages. They pressurize them. They make sure that they're good to go. The 2CAT has a big blue door up at the top right there and another big blue door. Is this building air conditioning? I don't know. Is this building air conditioning? Why do I keep saying it like that? Is this building air conditioned? No, I don't know. Probably not. But see the big blue door? You see that? So let's go back and look at Julia's footage. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh. See, Julia posted that, to which I replied, someone replied to you? love the internet. Oh, the internet's great. Oh, the internet's fantastic, dude. Someone left the fridge open, right? I'm sorry. Who is that guy? Who is that? Which one of you is this? That's funny as hell. I'm following that dude. Ooh. So the door is missing. the door is missing. So that Bloomberg article says that they had a catastrophic depressurization on the test stand and the tank filled completely. I noticed that the 2CAT is empty and the door is missing. So yikes, you bet. We don't need any more of this. You know, did you get it? Did you get it? Did you get it? Yikes, you bet. Concur. We don't need any more of this. Yeah, did you get it? All right. I don't think that door is hinged. I think it just slides forward and back, but now it doesn't do that at all. It does the opposite of that. It's orange. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, that's what they said. Anyway, sorry. Why do I find that so funny? All right. Hamburglar's got some info. I didn't want to read this yesterday, but somebody linked it again today. So let's see. Let's see what this article is about. This is from Stephen Clark. Those are real fake doors. Nope. All right. NASA wants clarity on an Orion heat shield issue before stacking the Artemis 2 rocket. You want this for SLS stages? Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good, man. Pretty good. It's pretty good. Here, hold on. I got something for you. Check this out. Ready? Let's go into desktop. Rocket research pictures. All right, here. That one's pretty good. Erudite, you might like this one. How about that one? That pretty good? Yeah, that one's pretty good, huh? What about that one? That one pretty good? I mean, Erudite, for what it's worth, I like, yeah, what you showed is pretty awesome. How about that one? That one's pretty good. I like that one. I like that one. That one's my favorite. I bet the shuttle folder is insane. Oh, I got all kinds of good stuff in there. Oh. Three S1Cs. The block by Erudite was for 20 of them. 20 Saturn V's. Yeah. Also, that's a pretty good picture. Don't worry about it. That's a pretty good picture. That's also pretty good. That's also pretty. That's also pretty. Yeah, it's- oh, once upon a time, dude. So, interesting thing, guys. They figured out how to assemble the S1C, how to make a rocket with a 10-meter core, 33-foot wide rocket. They figured out how to put it together at Marshall, and then used what they learned at Marshall to make Michoud in Louisiana and Stennis. Yeah, Marshall was the place where they first put together a Saturn V and then built a Saturn V first stage and then built a test stand for it. Yeah, Marshall was used for integration testing. Yeah, that's what they did. Stay in school, kids. Yep, there's them doing testing, fitment testing on test stand 4670. Pretty cool, huh? And there's how you put the that's the S4B. That's how Douglas put together the S4B. Yep. This is a really awesome picture because it shows your production flow. It's Factorio, dudes. That's Factorio, but for rocket stages. See last. What was the orbiter schematics? That was a prototype for an S1C flyback. They were thinking about doing that during the shuttle program. Dude. I was about to say, what if there was a factory building game where you built rockets, but you know, I mean, yeah, what if there was? You know what I mean, but also you know what I mean. You know what I mean? I mean, you kind of build rockets in Factorio, but also that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about building rockets like this. I'm talking about building rockets like this. Milk stool. Yeah, actually, there's your answer about the there's your answer about that flyback booster. That's what they wanted to do. By summer rocket. Yeah, that's what they. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they wanted to do stuff like that. There's a picture of the VAB being made. This is. Oh, wait, what?
The technical ability,
And the materials to pursue the exploration of the universe. To ignore these great resources would be a corruption of a God-given ability.
given ability.
Yeah, all right. That I don't know how that got in there, but that's still pretty cool. Yep, see, there's your 4 high bays. Dude, they cranked that thing out. They cranked out the VAB in like a year. Hear me out. 12-meter SLS-derived core stage, 6 SRBs, 12-meter second stage, and fairing. Fairing could also fit a Starship upper stage inside. You'd need a bigger building than that to do that. Yeah. I really should make this. We really should add more to this. Yeah, we really should add more to this folder. There's not enough. There's not enough Saturn stuff in here. Yep, there you go. That's what the pad 39A and B, that's what they looked like during the Apollo program. Very clean. It's called a clean pad design for a reason. Was it Nova 12-meter diameter? Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, you might be right. Yeah, exactly, Deadbringer. It's kind of sacrilege when you think about it, right? Like, look at how good that looks. All it has is just the umbilicals for you know, fuel oxidizer. That's it. Mobile launcher parks right up. When they set it down, it attaches. And there you go. That's it. That's all you got to do. Oh yeah, it also had during the Apollo program they had removable flame deflectors, so you could take the deflector out and refurbish it over here, and then move another one in. Yeah, not a lot of people knew that. Yep, there's that. There's them putting that thing together, Marshall. There's Saturn 1 test stand. They're gonna demolish that. Yep, still around. They're gonna demolish it. Can we just do this again? We should just do that again. That's a good idea. Yeah. Have you heard if Elon has future plans for BFR? I don't know. Chrysler. Yep, Chrysler made this Saturn V, the S1. Well, the S1B. Yep. Oh. Oh. Hey, what's up, man? Yep. Yep. Just need to put a fancy cover on top of a Soyuz. Nice. All right, what's this article say? What if we got a Saturn V with Raptor engines instead? It's still hard for me to grasp that a car company built the Saturn V. Dude, once upon a time, man, automotive manufacturers built everything. Ford built planes, tractors, trucks. They built whatever. Chrysler built tanks for the longest time. Go look up who designed the Abrams. Just saying. Chrysler made all kinds of stuff. Anything. Snowmobiles, boats, trucks, cars, whatever. Airport tugs, whatever. You made whatever because, you know, you wanted to gain more market share. Just, it's crazy because, like, yeah, they could just make whatever. They were like, oh, we make cars? No, screw that. We're going to make snowmobiles too. Right? And then they just did it. It's wild, man. It's crazy to me. You know, can you imagine a car company? Like, can you imagine Ford trying to make a tractor nowadays? Can you imagine any car company making anything other than freaking cars? Like the Pivot. The only one I know that can do something like that is Tesla. And let's make Optimus. Let's just make robots too. Whatever. Screw it. Robots, cars, batteries, whatever. Solar panels. Yeah, that's fine. Right? Can you imagine? In the 60s, every company was like that. Every single freaking company was like that. That's really freaking cool, dude. Every company. Every freaking company, dude. Like, they're all like that. Like, one of my favorite pictures in that Saturn V folder. Let me show you real quick before we read some bad news. My favorite picture is this. This was Chrysler's brochure in the 60s. It's kind of false advertising because Chrysler's business is to get you where you want to go, even if it's 238,000 miles straight up. That rocket didn't deliver anything anywhere near that far. But look at all this stuff. Trucks, tanks, bridge layering tanks, amphibious vehicles, screwjack vehicles, boats, heavy-duty trucks, light-duty trucks, cars, airport tugs, semis, heavy-duty school buses, whatever, vans, campers, whatever. All different types of cars. Actually, my car is on here. There's my car. I have a car like that. Lamborghini makes tractors. Yeah, Alien. Lamborghini was a tractor company before they were a car company. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You want to hear something funny? You know how Lamborghini started making cars? Mr. Lamborghini went to Ferrari one day because he was a huge Ferrari fan. He went to him one day in the mid-60s and he said, hey, Enzo, you make stuff, I make stuff. I love your car, but maybe if you upgrade the brakes a little bit, like the brakes, we could probably upgrade the brakes if you utilize something more like, you know, like this, right? And he gave him a way to fix his car and make the car better. And Enzo Ferrari looked at him and said, "Get the frick out of here. You make tractors. Leave me the hell alone and leave the car building to the experts. Go make some farming equipment, pal." And Lamborghini got so mad that he started a car division and they made cars instead. It's a very Italian thing to do. Hey, you make farming equipment. Get the frick out of here. Right? It's true. True story. Oh, he was a dick. Oh, yeah. Excuse me, sir. You make a farming equipment. Promptly leave. Here is the door. I do not need to take advice from a freaking farmer. Get the heck out of here. Yeah, that's how that went down. But are Lambo brakes better? I don't know. Lamborghini went to make the Miura, though. And the Miura is not a bad car. Yeah, the Miura is not a bad automobile. Sounded like a Russian Lamborghini. Yeah, whatever, dude. I'm tired. Leave me alone. No, he just like I said, once upon a time, dude, you know, like you just diversify. Find another way to make more money. Build cars. Screw it. You know, like, do I like a 2001 Jeep Cherokee? An XJ? Yeah, they're all right, Brian. Yeah. It's a Jeep, so you should manage expectations, but they're all right. The Clarkson, yeah, Clarkson's farm. He bought a Lamborghini. He bought a Lamborghini. Well, why wouldn't he buy a Lamborghini, man? Enzo Ferrari also claimed that Aero was for people who couldn't build engines. He's not wrong. He's not wrong. With enough horsepower, you can go as fast as you want. What World War III vehicle would you love to have? The one that survives. Yeah. So buying a Lamborghini is aiding farmers in their class struggle? No, not at all, Yannick. Lamborghini's owned by Volkswagen Group. Lamborghini hasn't been Italian since the 90s, man. You notice that Audi just all of a sudden just made the R8? And they're like, oh yeah, this is our car. We are the ones that designed it. No, it's freaking Lamborghini. And then all of a sudden Lamborghinis just started carrying Audi parts? No? No? Nothing, huh? Mitsubishi, now in Japan, Mitsubishi does diversify, sure, absolutely. Oh yeah, and don't get me wrong, there are still industries around the US that diversify, like General Electric. General Electric makes Gatling guns and jet engines and hydroelectric dam turbines and washing machines. Mitsubishi does diversify. Mitsubishi makes all different types of stuff. So does Yamaha. Yamaha makes crazy stuff. Yeah, Mitsubishi at one time made... Oh, look at that. The Tosa. I wonder what happened to that thing. Interesting. Mitsubishi also makes the H2. Yeah, Mitsubishi makes rockets. For Japan. For the Japanese Space Exploration Agency. They make rockets. G likes things. Oh, I like things that spin. You're a General Electric. I'm not, but all right. Kia, I mean, yeah, like I said, there are industries that diversify. In the US, like, they're all over the place, dude. But yeah, like, you don't see it that much with car companies anymore. Like, everybody who just did everything. Like, Chrysler makes tanks. Chrysler makes rockets. Chrysler makes cars. They make boats. They make whatever. We'll make something and make something that people want. Screw it. Do you think Ferrari would like someone doing this to their car?
Huge Ferrari up
update today.
This is DDE. It's a nice Corvette. Ford has a pretty expensive financial sector. Yeah, they do guitars, but you know, see, here's the difference. All right, here's the difference. That's lame. That's the difference. Or you know, Ford used to make tractors, airplanes, cars. Well, they still make cars and trucks, but you get the idea. They used to make whatever. Henry Ford didn't care. People need tractors. I'm gonna make tractors. I'm gonna make a lot of them. Here, have tractors. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah, we have a very diverse portfolio with money financial segment. Shut up and make things, dude. Please. Shut up and make. I'm saying that as a Ford fan. Just shut up and make things. Come on. It's ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get it. I know, I get it. But also, please shut up and make things. When SpaceX fridge? Yeah. Yeah, Vin, I mean, you say that, but then you get something like Tesla, which just decided they were going to make robots one day. And that's... There you go. I want SpaceX HVAC. I'll bet you their HVAC's real good. Anyway. What does this Ars article say? I'm telling you again, start playing car manufacturing. Yeah, I know. Based on what Twitter is saying, that Burger article is extremely depressing. Well, hey, Shimoda, thank you for the raid. NASA would like to start stacking SLS for the Artemis 2 mission, the first human flight around the moon since 1972, sometime next month, but the agency's exploration chief says the milestone could be delayed as engineers continue studying the readiness of the Orion spacecraft's heat shield. The heat shield, already installed on Orion, will take the brunt of heating when the capsule blazes through Earth's atmosphere after the end of a 10-day mission. On the Artemis 1 test flight in late 2022, NASA sent an Orion spacecraft to the moon and back without a crew aboard. The only significant blemish on the test flight was finding that charred chunks of the heat shield unexpectedly stripped away from the capsule during re-entry as temperatures increased to 5,000 Fahrenheit, 2760 centigrade. That's right. Yeah, this is all correct. Stephen Clark's all right, yeah. Stephen Clark's the guy that wrote this article. He's all right. Pretty good. Anyway, Shimoda, thank you for the raid. I appreciate it, buddy. Urban, how you doing? What's going on? The spacecraft safely splashed down, and if any astronauts had been aboard, they would have been fine. However, the inspections of the recovered spacecraft showed divots of heat shield material were missing. The heat shield material, called AVCoat, is designed to erode away in a controlled manner during re-entry. Instead, fragments fell off of the heat shield that left cavities resembling potholes. Yep. NASA launched internal and independent investigations to look into the heat shield issue. Catherine Corner, NASA's Associate Administrator for Development of Exploration Systems, told Ars, the inquiry remains open. We've not made any formal decisions on the path forward yet because we are still doing analysis. There are a lot of complications associated with the heat shield, not only with identifying a root cause, but also figuring out a path forward once we identify that root cause. This was Orion, the heat shield on Orion. This is a complicated thermodynamic and aerodynamic problem, with engineers studying the combined effects of heating and air resistance as the Orion spacecraft dives deeper into the atmosphere. Victor Glover, the pilot of the Artemis 2 mission, told Ars earlier this year that the ground testing and analysis can only go so far, and some of the dynamics may not be fully understood without more flight data. Commander Reed Wiseman, mission specialist Christina Cook, and Canadian astronaut Jeremy Hansen. Oh yeah, Jeremy Hansen, bud. Oh, he's a great astronaut. Oh yeah, good guy. Really good fella. Will join Glover on the Artemis 2 mission. They will fly around the far side of the moon inside the Orion capsule after lifting off from NASA's Kennedy Space Center in Florida on an SLS rocket. Artemis 2 will pave the way for future landing missions to deliver astronauts to the moon's south pole. But it's taking longer than NASA officials would have liked to complete the Orion heat shield investigation. Corner said she didn't want to estimate how much longer it would take for NASA to come to a decision on what, if anything, to change on the Artemis 2 mission to reduce the risk to the astronauts. Problems with heat shield, problems with spacecraft. It's almost like all these companies took the money and didn't really bother to build anything. I don't think it's that. I think that probably has something to do with it, B. I'm not going to lie to you, but I think Victor Glover pretty much right there. Vic knows what's good. That guy's cool. It's cool, way cooler than me. Look what he said. Look, man, you could sit here and do all the analysis you want. You could do all the data crunching, all the number crunching you want. Nothing replaces flight data and cope harder. You know what I'm saying? Like, the best way to ensure crew safety on any activity, but especially this one in particular, is to make sure that they understand that they're doing this. The focus of the investigation and the path forward with crew safety in mind and not with schedule pressure or any other kind of external pressure from stakeholders. Ask an admiral how deep their submarines really go. You don't know until you tried it. Yeah. See, I agree with this, but I think this is, see right here, this is EJ's opinion time, okay? I agree with that. That's right. That's in analysis, yeah. You want to make sure that that heat shield is absolutely good to go. Right? You want to be absolutely sure. However, if crew safety was in mind, you'd fly this heat shield again without people on board.
Go at throttle up.
It's funny because they talk about external pressure from stakeholders. They talk about schedule pressure there, but you wouldn't. In this particular case, infrequent flight is making the capsule less safe because you would have found this problem already if you had flown it more. It's just like the shuttle. It's the same idea, but there's no go fever and stuff. I get it, right? But like flying the shuttle less and not flying it more made the thing less safe. 100%. I'm 100% sure of that. Well, Shimoda, here's the thing. Why didn't that, they tested it on SLS, right? They tested it, not SLS. They tested Orion's heat shield on Delta IV in 2014. Why didn't that heat shield char? What's the difference? Like I said, man, it's just like the environmental control systems on Orion. There's some glaring freaking problems here. And if I had to guess, the glaring problem comes from flying this capsule once a decade. Probably has something to do with it. You could do all the analysis you want. You could do all the analysis. You crunch the numbers till you're blue in the face. One flight a decade. That's what we're at. That's what we're averaging right now, don't you think? Artemis 1 and EFT 1. That's it. And I would argue those weren't even Orions. They're like mock-ups with certain flight fidelity components. Like the one that flew on EFT 1 is basically a the one that flew on EFT 1 was basically a heat shield. That's it. After Apollo 1, what was the next crewed flight? 7? Yes. You have some really big problems here. Your heat shield shouldn't be charring like this at this phase in your engineering. Like, don't get me wrong, now is the time to find problems, but I feel like I just keep saying this over and over again. You know, like, you want to find problems during these tests, right? You want to find problems during Artemis 1, but not like this, not problems like this. You don't want this. You don't want to realize your life support systems aren't adequate enough for the capsule that you designed to do a purpose, right? And that your heat shield wasn't good enough. The one thing that heat shield needs to do is come back from re-enter on a trans-earth injection burn. Like, that's it. That's it is one job. Like, what have you been doing for the past 14 years? Avcoat. The heat shield is made out of Avcoat. Avcoat is the same thing they made the Apollo capsule's heat shield out of. What the frick? What's going on? Comparing the two below, what do you think would have been a better pathway for NASA? Artemis Gateway or Constellation? Constellation all day. If Constellation had kept going and NASA's funding had stayed exactly the exact same thing as SLS, at the very least, we'd have Orion with a lot of flight data underneath its belt. At the very least, that's what we'd have. You know, like I said, the way they do this testing that emphasizes ground data, that's waterfall style testing. So you do one big test flight. That test flight should be more akin to a final exam. You don't want to learn anything on a final exam in school. It's a test of your knowledge. In this case, it's a test of all the systems on the capsule. Will you find something new during testing? Oh yeah, inevitably, because you know what? Nothing replaces flight data. Victor Glover is 100% correct on this one. But you don't want to find that your heat shield can potentially delaminate. That's something you don't want to find. Yeah, that's red flag. Big red flag. And also, just on a side note, Orion's environmental control systems didn't pass acceptance testing for Artemis 3. So they built the life support system on a capsule that's designed to have adequate support out there for a long duration mission to the moon, and it failed that. It passed for Artemis 2, though, which is a short duration mission. Yet Orion is designed for long duration missions. So, whoops. So you guys can say whatever you want about Ares 1, but with the Constellation program, NASA was going to return to iterative design. That's why Ares 1X was a dud upper stage and a dud 5-segment booster. That's why. And that's why it had so many problems. Ares 1 was more like the Starship suborbital test flights. NASA was trying to go back to rapid prototyping using shuttle-derived launch components. And that iteration would have gotten us something similar to SpaceX. Like I said, they could have done this with the money they had right now. It's like not the money they had right now, with the same funding. We could have done this with the same funding. You know, that's the biggest reason why I like Constellation, because what NASA was supposed to be doing is rapidly prototyping. Once again, Constellation program came around 2004, 2005. Really, 2005 is when it was on the books. We had a flight test in 2009, 4 years later, while running the space shuttle program at the same time on the same launch pads. That's pretty... People have the gall to say that program would have ended up being behind. No, I don't think so. Should have bought the J2X. Exactly. Yeah. See, the other thing here is that, you know, developing Ares 1 out and roping your development budget for the J2X into Ares 1 spreads the cost over developing the Earth departure stage for the Ares 5. Right? You develop Ares 1, with smaller rocket components, but these same components could be used in a different capacity. I'm pretty sure I recall a program doing something very similar to this. Back in the day, you don't try to go and build the biggest rocket first. You build a smaller rocket to learn, and then you use those components to make a bigger rocket. What's the name of that program? There's a program that did that quite successfully. What was the name of it? What was the name? What was the name? What was the name? What was the name? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that. They said that they had unknown phenomenon. So like you said, flight data will be more useful than sims that don't account for phenomena you don't understand. You can't test for stuff you don't know about. And now, don't get me wrong, Saturn 1 and Saturn 5 don't really have a lot of common architecture. You could make the argument that the original Saturn 1 has nothing in common with the Saturn 5. But there's a reason why they're in the same family of rockets. The reason why is because the knowledge gained from this thing helped later when you went to make a much bigger vehicle. And some of it did wind up in, like, manufacturing and stuff. Some of it did wind up in the Saturn 5, right? Like, some of it did. You know, the point that I'm trying to make is that developing Ares 1 develops a 5-segment booster and a J2X. Ares 5, what they were planning on doing is making the costs for Ares 5 not be nearly as high because your second stage propulsion is already there. And your first stage propulsion is already there. 5-segment boosters. So when you actually did go to make a super heavy launch vehicle, not only did you retain your technical expertise from the shuttle program, but it's derived from a vehicle that was just developed. So the people that worked on it, the people that engineered this stuff could also be moved over to Ares 5 while Ares 1 entered operations. Smart, dude. I'm sorry, that's smart. That's how you run a space program. Look at SpaceX, same thing. You think SpaceX, when they went to start doing Starship, you think they just fired all the people that helped develop Falcon 9? No, Falcon 9 entered operations, and they moved all their R&D team over to Starship. That's how you run a space program. You have to iterate. I don't know how we got into this funk mentality where you have to do all the testing on the ground and then launch it once. Like, I don't know. I understand why you would do something like that, but the whole thing at times seems like a gigantic freaking ruse to just, not do as much work. Like, somebody had to have, when they first made SLS, and don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to dump on Orion. I think Orion is a good design, and I think SLS is a good design for what it's worth. It needs a better upper stage. I'm not saying these designs are bad, okay? Really what I'm getting at here is somebody went to engineer SLS. I mean, it's Congress, let's be real. I understand, but you got to understand why, because we almost had nothing, right? Somebody went to do this and said, yeah, let's launch it once. I mean, per SLS's original plan, it was supposed to do a test flight in 2014 on EFT-1. That happened on time, right? And then after that, it was supposed to, SLS, the Artemis 1 mission was supposed to be in 2018. It ended up being in 2022. Right? Artemis 3 should have been right now per the original plan, right? We should have already been back to the moon. We would have been back to the moon in the early 2020s, right? That was the idea. Somebody looked at that and said, we're going to fly the Orion capsule 3 times in the next 10 years, even considering ideal schedules. Someone looked at that and said, yep, that's fine. Yep, that's good. Yep. Send it. Package it up and send it. Not only are we going to fly it 3 times, we're going to fly it 3 times on 3 different rockets. Because the original plan was to launch it on Delta IV Heavy, then SLS Block 1, and then SLS Block 1B. So 3 different configurations. That is possibly the worst way of doing that. I don't think I could think of a better, of a worse way to do your testing. I don't think I could think of a worse way. I seriously don't think so. Like, guys, you know what this is? You know when you're playing Factorio and you see you've made something in Factorio, and then you sit there and you look at like the belts and everything that you made, all your inserters and everything, right? You look at it and you said, oh, that's an awful way to do that. And then there's that sinking feeling. You're like, this is awful. This is never going to work, right? That is the feeling that I get with this. Like, it's just, the whole factory's off by 1 tile. Like, oh, what prompted that methodology in your opinion? Here we go. Lack of vision from the executive branch. Not making spaceflight a national priority is what started that crap. Yeah. NASA is beholden to the executive branch. They're beholden to the president. President has to have, vice president now, since they brought this National Spaceflight Council back. Yeah, doing a great job with that. So, lack of vision. Yeah, just an extreme lack of vision over the last couple of decades. Well, that's a decade. Look, the executive branch not making spaceflight a priority is what's causing your stagnation. Everybody whines about pork projects, right? I like pork products for what it's worth. Not pork projects so much, but hey Roger, how you doing? Yeah, it allows this. It enables that. It enables this to happen. Not making spaceflight a priority. Also, yeah, I like pork. Yeah, pork is great. Speaking of pork, I need to go start making dinner. Take care of my crew for me. All right, Shimoda. Hey, thanks for the raid, buddy. I appreciate it. Thanks for talking with me. But yeah, this ain't no way to test, dudes. And I'm confident. Dude, once again, am I an aerospace engineer? No, not really. Nope, I play one on Twitch. Not even close. But I've been following this long enough that I'm confident to know that you need more flight testing than this. One and done. We're gonna launch Orion out to the moon once. And something even remotely resembling a crewed configuration. You know, Artemis 1 didn't have any life support on it. It had everything else, but no life support, right? And then we're going to put people on it on the next flight. Or you think we're that good? The Apollo program wasn't that good, man. Not even close. The Apollo program had a blank check, and they still ended up taking 3 lives. You think we're that good? I don't think we're that good. We're good. Don't get me wrong. Not that good. Why? Because we're not psychic. We don't have a crystal ball. Dude, we have a flight configuration here that is arguably more dangerous than the Apollo program. And the Apollo program was dangerous. They did not fly people on the second or third flight of the Saturn V. Or no, the first or second flight of the Saturn V. We're going to launch SLS once, put people on it with a capsule that's untested. Are you out of your freaking mind? Like, once again, do I know more than Lockheed? No. But I think it's a good question to ask. You think you're better than the Apollo program? Maybe, maybe not. But all these computers can't seem to hide the failure modes that you're having, right? The failure mode, having and happening. I combined those two words. Having and happening. Happening. Happening? I mean, you know, we think we're better, yet the heat shield still delaminates. The environmental control systems don't pass acceptance testing. That's a problem that the Apollo program never had. So what's the deal? Like, once again, man, I've seen this behavior too much, and I honestly, since that Artemis press conference that Bill Nelson said, you know, we're going to launch when we're ready. Yeah, okay, that's a nice way of saying the thing we designed isn't good enough and we're going to launch it when it is good enough. Well, my question to that would be, my question there is going to be, okay, well, you thought it was good enough the first time and now it's not good enough. So what, it doesn't instill high confidence that you think it's going to be good the second time around? Why would we have any more or less confidence? Tiny Victory says hi. Hello, Tiny Victory. We need Artemis 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. Orion needs to fly more. I'm sorry. It needs to fly more. It needs lower. You need to send it to low Earth orbit. Or do something like Polaris Dawn with the damn thing. Something like that. Put it on Falcon or Vulcan or New Glenn or something. Like, look, your heat shield's coming apart. The reason, you know why it's coming apart? Not all the testing in the world. Working on this thing for 10 years doing analysis on this. All the testing in the world couldn't predict that. You know why? Because you don't know. You don't know. You would have learned this if you'd launched it more. Yeah, what Blinga said in chat. How can the U.S. government and NASA justify the cost of Artemis 1 when SpaceX will be launching 100 times cheaper? Like, how is it any value of money for the taxpayer? Uncapping, SpaceX might be able to launch it 100 times cheaper 10 years into the future. If you think they aren't launching a Starship right now to the tune of $1 billion, you're out of your mind. Do you see the scale of Boca Chica? What do you think? SpaceX is doing that with monopoly money? Starship is a multi-billion-dollar endeavor. Its costs are just as high, if not higher, for development than SLS. I can guarantee you that. Here's the thing, and this is where my criticism lies. SpaceX is going to take their rocket, and it's fully reusable. The development's going to be more expensive. It's going to be more expensive. What you do with it after development is done is the big kicker right there, right? Paid all this money to develop SLS. Launch it more, please. Because guess what, man? At the end of the day, it's always going to cost a good amount of money to make a rocket that's designed to go beyond low Earth orbit. I don't care what anybody says. It's a multi-billion-dollar endeavor at this point. $5, $6, $7 billion. It's always going to cost that much. What you do with it after is important, though. You see what I'm saying? How do you justify it? Well, first of all, Starship hasn't gotten beyond low Earth orbit. SLS has, so it's kind of a funny way to say you want a rocket that does less because it's cheaper. It's a weird way of saying that, but all right. You mean build it more? Yeah, build more of them. What SLS needs right now is a robust roadmap for the next 10 years. It needs a robust roadmap. You know, even if they want to go with that frankly pathetic flight rate of once a year, that's 10 SLSs. Where's the 10 SLSs? Where's that at? Yeah, where's that contract? Their statements were talking about a problem with valve wiring, which wouldn't necessarily be something that impacts longevity. That sounds much more like a supplier change that did something subpar. Why did you change suppliers? Why would you change suppliers during development of a capsule? That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Why would you do that? Now, don't get me wrong. If it was SpaceX changing developer with rapid prototyping, not a big deal. But they're not doing that now, are they? Oh, this is an article from Jeff from today. What's up? From Jeff Faust, SLS contract extension hints at additional Artemis. NASA plans to extend the contract for one element of the current version of SLS with options that suggest the agency is protecting against multi-year delays in future missions. NASA rolled out August 21st the LVSA for SLS that will be used on the Artemis II mission. The structure, built at Marshall Space Flight Center in Alabama, was loaded onto a barge for transport to the Kennedy Space Center in Florida, where other components of the rocket are awaiting integration. The vehicle stage adapter is a cone-shaped structure 8.4 meters tall that tapers from 8.4 meters across its base to 5 meters at the top. The structure is used to connect the ICPS, the interim cryogenic propulsion stage, used as the upper stage on the Block 1 version of SLS with the core stage. The LVSA will not be used on later versions of SLS that replace the ICPS with the larger exploration upper stage. That's my point, though. I get that SpaceX is spending billions on R&D, but eventually it will be as cheap as chips to fly Starship. On the opposite spectrum, NASA isn't doing that, and unless I've missed something, don't intend to ever get to the point where they could launch rapidly for cheap. So from that perspective, what's the point? I'll finish reading the article in a second. Uncapping, are you willing to pull the plug on NASA's entire beyond low Earth orbit exploration architecture at this point? Would you do that? Would you do that right now? If you were running NASA, you had total control over that. Would you be willing to sack SLS, everything that goes with it, including HLS, Artemis, SLD, all of that? Would you be willing to sack that to say that Starship might be useful in the future? Would you do that? Honest question. No, but I can't see how it's value for money when the money could be dumped into Starship. Why does everybody think that if you got rid of the SLS program right now, that money would go to SpaceX? Where does that mentality come from? I'm not 100% sure why people would conflate that. That's not how this works at all. Canceling the Constellation program didn't give SLS more money. Spaceflight has never worked that way. Just because we canceled the Apollo program doesn't mean all that money went to the shuttle program. No, that's not how this works at all. Why do people, Badger, where did you pick this up? I get asked this question almost every day. Why do that when the money could be spent on Starship? You're off your rocker if you think the SLS, if you canceled SLS right now, all that money would go to Elon. You are out of your freaking mind. Like, why do people think that works as an analogy? Why do people think that? I'm confused. Like, honestly, I get asked this almost every day. Where's that coming from? I mean, I'm hoping that people are ignorant, not willfully ignorant, of how NASA's contracting works. At best, it's naivety. They're being naive towards, how contracting at NASA works. But on the other hand, it also demonstrates a fundamental misunderstanding of how programs are funded at NASA. It goes back to a pool and spend less year. No, it does not. It does not go back into a pool. Look at the Apollo program. That's a pretty good example. And the end of the shuttle program, and the end of Constellation, and the end of the. We could keep dogpiling. Gemini program, same way. Mercury before that, same thing. Skylab, Apollo applications, same thing. That money didn't go back to NASA. SDI, when they pulled funding on the Strategic Defense Initiative in the early 90s because the Cold War ended, that money didn't go back into a pool. It just left. See what I'm talking about? Pulling SLS right now would not give money to SpaceX. If we could do that, and NASA just decided to buy a bunch of starships,
this is space.
right?
I'm in space.
Hey, Woody. Woody Riddy gifted out 10 subs. Thank you. Right? And then Electron had a 96-month resub before that. If we could do that on the assurance that that's how that would work, I think NASA would do that in a heartbeat. But that's not how this works at all. Like, what? Why do people think that? I didn't pick it up anywhere, but in my head, it makes sense to put that money into a project that long-term will save you money and not cost you an obscene amount. Okie gifted out 10 subs. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Yeah, but... we don't... That's not how NASA's contract structuring works. That's never happened. It's never worked that way. That's never happened. Well, if you canceled the SLS program, all that NASA's budget would end up doing is they would just end up doing less for more. Badger, the point that I'm trying to make is that every time someone has said exactly what you are saying right now, NASA has ended up with less money. Every single time. No exceptions. Oh, why are we spending so much money on the Apollo program? The shuttle, a reusable vehicle, could arguably do it for less. Because it's reusable. It's going to cost us less money. Yeah, it's going to cost you less money, but now you can't get to the moon. And arguably it didn't. You see what I'm trying to say? I don't care what anybody... Dude, I don't care how much Starship costs. That does... No. I would not get rid of any NASA program right now and substitute it with Starship unless Starship is like 100% totally, fully operational. And don't get me wrong, you'd be right in thinking that SpaceX is going to get there eventually. And when they do, sure, absolutely. The point is, don't get you. It could be, it's an obscene waste of money, blah, 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 blah. Every time someone's proposed that, we always end up with less money. NASA ends up getting the shaft. It's happened, I can think, like I said, 4 or 5 times throughout NASA's history, where this exact thing has happened. Apollo to the shuttle. Perfect example. Right? That's a perfect one. Space Station Freedom to the ISS, another exact thing. Oh, just, why are we spending so much money developing this space station when we could just use the Russian space station? It's so much cheaper. Yeah, how's that one working out? Oh, wait. Yeah. Good call. Good call. Hey, let's develop launch vehicles using Russian engines. The Russian engines are cheaper. Our propulsion research is expensive. Why should we do that? We're wasting so much money. Well, let's just do that. Oh, yeah, let's do that. That's a great idea. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that ended real good. Oh, the shuttle is too expensive. Let's replace it with an Apollo-style architecture again. Let's go back to using pods. It'll be cheaper, and we can use that to focus more on going to beyond low Earth orbit. No, we can't do that. It's too expensive. Let's just, why are we doing that? Let's just put everything on the commercial sector. The commercial sector can do it for cheaper. Let's just do that. It's cheaper. Every time these things that I'm telling you has happened, if you look at NASA's budget goes down. That pool doesn't stay with NASA. I don't care what anybody says. It doesn't. It never has. It never will. Yeah, exactly. Never claimed to be an expert on such things. Just working from a respect. No. Badger, I get you. I'm trying to tell you. Don't get me wrong. It's a little bit spicy. But I'm trying to tell you, you're absolutely right. Dude, if Elon had the SLS budget, Starship would be flying right now. If he had that on top of what he has, oh yeah, absolutely. I'm not saying that Starship couldn't be able to do it for cheaper in the long run. What I'm telling you is that to say that we're wasting a lot of money, it's a waste of money for SLS. Spending all that money is ridiculous. Why don't we just give that to SpaceX? That's not how this works at all. I'm not saying it's not a bad idea. Not gonna lie to you. I'm not saying it's not a bad idea. If anything, SpaceX is the only one that doesn't have their head completely up their tailpipe. You know what I mean? Tailpipe, right? But that government contracts doesn't work like that. I wish it did. That'd be great. If that was the case, NASA would have gotten the shuttle up and running in the mid-70s because they would have retained the Apollo program's budget. But that's not how it works. Every time somebody thinks they have a cheaper way of doing it, NASA ends up with less. And you got to think about it, dude. Think about it from a macroeconomic perspective. Yeah, SLS is a little obscene. It's a little ridiculous. This price tag is insane. That's because NASA ropes development cost into their launch contract per their contract structuring. So the more we launch SLS in the long run, the cheaper it's going to be per launch. So here's where my problem lies. I don't mind incurring the billions of dollars of development because you're going to have to if you want to send something to the moon. I don't care what anybody thinks. You can't get to the moon on hopes and dreams. All right. The Russians tried that, or the Soviets tried that in the 60s. It doesn't work. Okay. Can't do that way. It's always going to cost a couple $1 billion. Like I said, that's what I mean about what you do with it. All right. NASA's price tag for SLS is total cost involved. They rope development into their contract structure. So the more we launch SLS, the more that price will go down. Right? That's what happened with the Saturn V. Just saying, that's what happened with the shuttle. Shuttle launch, at the end of the shuttle program, is about $400 million for a shuttle launch. That's pretty damn good considering what you get. And that was even with all the snafus that the shuttle program happened with the shuttle program, right? Now, my big problem is that we incurred all this development and we don't want to do anything with it. That is the waste. Because it's always going to cost money, dude. It's always going to cost money. It's just going to cost billions of dollars every time, right? What you do with it is the difference. Nobody at NASA seems to have any sense of urgency here. And that's the part you should be pissed about. That's where my problem is. I agree with you there. Not necessarily for development. It takes time to develop things. It's hard to make something to go to the moon. We had a blank check in the 60s and it was still difficult. Still took us a little while, right? It takes time. But as SLS moves over into its operational phase, I see no sense of urgency here. And as a taxpayer, yeah, you should be pissed about that. You know what I mean? I agree. That was kind of your point. We spend billions on something you won't launch more than maybe once a year. Yeah, okay. So in that regard, I agree with you. Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you. It's the development part, though, because SLS is still in development right now. We're getting into operations, but they're clearly having problems with it. That's why my criticism of SLS has always been the architecture. You've got to launch this thing more so we don't get the shaft. Dude, we spent billions of dollars in the 60s on the Saturn V. Do you think we got our money's worth out of that? We got some national prestige. We got 6 lunar landings. That's great. And then we just decided not to use it anymore? Are you kidding me? SLS is a good vehicle, Cirrus. I'll be honest. It's credit where credit is due. Core stage is a great design. 5-segment boosters are a great design. It's good stuff. Everything that's on top of the core stage, I'm not really a fan of at this point. Yeah, Badger, I'm with you on that one. But see, so where my mind is going with that, Badger, yeah, I think we need to launch more. We need to launch SLS more. Where's the block buy? And you know what they're going to say? Oh, we don't have the money for that. It's the contract structuring, dude. The money's there. Look at the budget of the SLS program. There's no way that development budget, the heavy price tag that it's carrying at this point, is going to carry over into operations. It's not, unless you buy a lot. Right? That's always been my big thing. You got to launch more, not less. And just, going back to the original premise for this conversation, you would have probably figured out that your heat shield wasn't adequate enough. It didn't do what you thought it was going to do if you launched Orion more with uncrewed configurations. Just saying. Probably would have figured that out a lot faster. I haven't seen it yet, Willie. Yeah, each time you watch For All Mankind makes me wonder on some of the cool things you could have missed out on. You need to have some urgency, Badger. That's the problem, dude. Ares 1 with an ICPS. ICPS is not high energy enough to get to orbit from the erudite. Hey, RJ. And Badger, here's the real truth, man. I really don't think any particular scenario where pulling the rug out from NASA's entire human spaceflight operations directorate is a good idea. There's really no scenario where that's a good idea. That's what they tried to do in 2011. What you're proposing right now is what they tried to do, and we got SLS because of it. You know what I'm saying? Look, man, that right there is where I have a lot of beef with a lot of journalists, right, out there, because they keep saying stuff like that. And they're the same journalists that kept saying stuff like that in the late 2000s about Constellation. And look where it got us. You see what I mean? That's not any way to think about spaceflight. And anytime anyone's proposed anything like that, right? We always end up getting the shaft. Now, is it nefarious intent? I don't know. On the journalist, I have no idea, right? But I refuse to believe that there isn't a way to leverage these pork programs to do what you want. That's what the Apollo program did. So that tells me it's a lack of vision. You know what I mean? Nobody makes space a national priority like President Kennedy did. Say SpaceX got Starship working tomorrow and got our on-orbit refueling down and took it to the moon without any hitches. Would that provide enough of a kick-up burn for NASA? Because if so, all we need to do is bully Elon into doing it quicker. Now, what I was going to say... what I was going to say is, look... When Starship, okay, SpaceX is going to do it. They're going to do it. Starship will do what they're saying. I'm pretty damn sure. At least, low Earth orbit, full reusability, which is a game changer in itself, right? I'm not sure about going to Mars, but I'm sure Elon, he's hell-bent on that. I'm sure Starship will help us get back to the moon. I'm 100% sure of this. Let me put it to you like this. I would not have a problem. Okay, does the government make mail vans? No, they don't make the mail van. The government doesn't make the mail vans in-house. No, absolutely not. Right? They don't do that. Does the government make police cars? No. Ford does. And, Dodge does too. Chevy doesn't know how to make a car. They haven't known how to make a regular car for a long time. But that's another story. Sorry. If Starship got to the point where it would be like buying a government vehicle, like a Crown Vic Police Interceptor or something. Not as cheap, right? Obviously, right? Or like a C-5 or something, or a C-130, something like that. If it got to the point where it was like that, then, yeah. Oh, NASA, yeah, of course. NASA should buy Starships and build their own Starship pad. Sure. Or have SpaceX build it for them. NASA should operate Starship for end-to-end work, just like the government would buy a pickup truck for whatever they do, right? Like buying the construction depots in Workers and Resources. Sure, absolutely. Do I think SpaceX is going to get to that point? Yes, I think they will get to that point. So it's a race against time. Seriously. So think about it like this. If it gets to that point, what you said is going to happen. Abso-freaking-lutely. Oh yeah, that's going to happen. Right? It will. Look at Falcon 9. Falcon 9 is another good example, right? When they ultimately achieve what they're trying to do, and I really think they will, and I'm cheering it on every step of the way, quite frankly. It's going to be hard to justify SLS, right? They'll probably get rid of it, and there's no new bottom line. What I'm telling you is that potentially could lead to NASA losing millions of dollars and billions of dollars less money being invested into the spaceflight economy per year. Now, I know what people are going to say. Yeah, you think that's a big deal, EJ? Yes, I do, actually. Yeah, that's a big problem. Because it's very clear that our technical base and our technical retention, engineers, technicians, the people that make this stuff and the people that build this stuff and design this stuff, losing a significant chunk of billions of dollars in investment in those people is going to shrink our aerospace sector, not grow it. It's going to do the opposite of that. And you know they'll chop it if they think SpaceX can do it better. So at the end of the day, it's going to be less money for spaceflight. NASA's going to get the shaft, just like they always do. How do I speak with such certainty? History is a pretty good source for this. Every time, dude. Happens every time. Even if NASA operates Starship, right? If they have their own NASA starships, like they have a fleet of Starship orbiters, like they had a fleet of shuttles, right? It's still going to end up with less money. Now, don't get me wrong. History doesn't repeat, it rhymes. Maybe this time it's different. Maybe. But I have no reason to believe that it won't be like every other time. But then again, SpaceX is kind of an anomaly in this whole situation, right? And that could change that in the future, right? It's possible. But what I'm trying to tell you is that, yeah, it's hard to justify SLS's crazy cost. That window is closing. That window of justification is closing. If we launch SLS more and NASA and Starship comes along, we could potentially see a scenario where we have 2 operational super heavy lift rockets and we could use those things to do whatever. SLS could be used for probes, sending deep space probes to be the backbone to Starship, be precursor missions for Starship. Like I said, man, once you take it away, it ain't coming back. So we have the potential to be in a world where, SLS launches, 4 times a year, sending science probes out and precursor probes and maybe deploying HABs for Starships to land at. That is the timeline that I'm gunning for. I don't know about you guys. That's the timeline I want. NASA has a finite window of operation before we only get Starship. And that's fine, don't get me wrong, that's still pretty good. But why would we not bet the house on this? Double-edged sword. SpaceX makes NASA do things better and cheaper, but at the same time, it costs us knowledge and money in the overall economy. So what's the balance? If NASA's going to get shafted by the virtue of Starship working, how do we have both NASA and SpaceX on equal footing? Uncapping, that's a good question, man. Great question. Great conversation, dude. I hope you guys are enjoying this. This is a great conversation. I'm into it. I don't know if you could tell. That's a good question. The good question is for NASA to retain parity with SpaceX. Anything that SpaceX can do, NASA should also be able to do. That is going to get us the most sustainable way forward. No chance. Like there's no question of that. At least it'll put us on a trajectory that could lead to more sustainability at that point. Dude, the other thing that I've been thinking about here is that I really don't think putting all your eggs in the commercial basket is very sustainable. I know that sounds ridiculous. I know it sounds crazy. Hear me out. Hear me out. Little bit of a subject change, but still pertinent nonetheless. Right? Vargon, I'll get to your answer in a second, or get to your question in a second. Think about this. Everybody thought commercial was the future for rocketry in the 90s. Everybody thought that. And then we hit a recession. And then the dot-com bubble burst, right? And the demand for commercial launches dried up like that. So it was so bad that Boeing, McDonnell Douglas, and Lockheed were all thinking about just getting out of the launch business altogether. The Department of Defense said, nope, you're not doing that, and made ULA as a response to this. And they subsidized ULA with a readiness contract, or they contracted ULA with it's not a subsidy. They contracted ULA with a readiness contract to maintain operational capability for 2 redundant dissimilar launch vehicles. The market got so bad that it just dried up. I don't want to throw the future of spaceflight to the whim of the economy. That's dumb. That's really stupid. That's not smart at all. Because it can just go up in flames like that. That's the end of it. Done. Do you think that's wise? I don't think that's smart at all. Look, man, even if you love capitalism or you hate it, whatever, in market economics and capitalism, you have expansions and retractions. The market is elastic. You grow and then you shrink, and then you grow and then you shrink. Hopefully the growth is better than the contraction, right? It happens. It goes up and down. It's like the tides. It goes in and out, right? I do not want to throw the future of spaceflight onto to a whim like that. I don't think that's smart. Simultaneously, we've seen what happens in the past when the government has the only way to get beyond low Earth orbit. There's no stopping somebody from just being like, nope, don't do this. You're done. Don't do this anymore. Canceled. Bye. There's no stopping that. That's not very sustainable. Once again, the most sustainable way forward is to have both of these launch vehicles operational and flying on relatively high frequency. Starship, obviously, more than SLS, right? Duh. But them working in symbiosis is the most sustainable way forward. Is it the most expensive way forward as well? Oh, yeah. Yeah, sure, yeah. Absolutely. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I don't think betting on commercial alone is smart. Because in this current system, SpaceX is able to thrive because of their NASA contracts. Just saying. Spaceflight can go poof like that. It isn't established enough to survive yet. And therefore, having a government space program is probably a good idea, don't you think? There's an argument to be made that the only reason why UPS and FedEx are as good as they are is that the USPS exists as a ground floor minimum quality benchmark. You have to have at least that much. Yeah, that's a good point. So uncapping here, my honest opinion is that the way forward is to fix the SLS program's problems. You need to fix this because the window of opportunity is closing. Starship gets operational, you're putting all your eggs into the commercial basket. Don't get me wrong. That might be you know what? I'll be honest with you. That's probably what's going to happen. Let's be real. That's probably what's going to happen. Is that the most sustainable way forward? Nope. No, probably not. It's probably what's going to happen because NASA gets the shaft every time. Since 1972. NASA has gotten the shaft in every type of deal like this. They'll probably get the shaft again in some way, shape, or form. And what I'm saying is that right now it's in our power. Well, not necessarily in our power. We can influence the result of this as taxpayers, right? If NASA gets their stuff together, that's the most sustainable way forward. I want to see Orion capsules flying like Polaris Dawn. I want to see them doing missions like this. I was about to say it's probably going to happen my way anyway. You talk me around though. I actually don't want it to happen now. That's what dude, like I said, you're probably right. You're probably right. That's probably how it's going to pan out. Because NASA has their head, okay, please forgive my candor. NASA has their head completely up their ass. These heat shield problems with Orion. 1 time a year cadence flight rate? Are you freaking nuts, maybe we'll go back to the moon. No, Gateway is too heavy. We're going to launch Gateway on SLS. No, we're going to launch it on Falcon Heavy. No, we're going to do this. No, it's too heavy. This is ridiculous. No. Your finite your window is closing here. The window of opportunity is closing. They need to get their stuff together. Yeah. You need to get your stuff together. Because once again, we're going to hit that impasse, right? We're going to hit that crossroads, and I know what everyone's going to say. Just buy starships. And you know what? I don't necessarily have a problem with that. That's cool. I think that Elon is inevitable, if you really want to know. SpaceX and Elon, that's going to happen. Good. I'm cheering them on every step of the way. But we're in a very unique position where we could cement sustainability of spaceflight in permanently for the next 50 years, at the very least, if they pull their head out of their ass. Does that make sense, dude? Like I said, what you said is probably going to happen. But yeah, that's a good conclusion to that. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Yeah, NG, that's a good point. Yeah, Wisp, it's disgusting. And the entire result of this problem is the result of lack of vision. You will pay the price for your lack of vision. Seriously, lack of vision. No President Kennedy. Dude, you could even make the argument that Nixon had a pretty good vision for NASA with the space shuttle. Was it as good as Kennedy's? No, absolutely not. No. I would also like to add that Johnson is kind of the reason why the Apollo program ramped down, because, yeah, screw that guy too. The more you know. Lack of vision. Oh, yeah. That's it. That's the truth. Like, our window of opportunity is closing. NASA's window of taking more giant leaps is closing. If they want to play second fiddle to SpaceX, that's fine. Sure, go ahead. All right. Did the last guy have good vision? I'm not sure, Sawyer. I think that Jim, he was hands off and he let Jim do his thing, and he let the vice president and Jim do his thing. And that was good. That shows that the system can work. It can be leveraged, because that's exactly what happened. Jim got in there. He was given the tools that he needed to succeed, and look at what happened. We got an SLS launch out of it. And a green run before that. Just saying, what's happened since? At the same time, you can't be so hands-off that craft goes off the rails. I would contend to say that that's exactly what's happening right now, Hellfish. I'm not sure you caught this earlier, but I also wanted to note most people don't understand the use it or lose it reality of budgets. I read what you said, Aqualex. I paraphrased it, but I did. Yeah. I read it. I didn't read the whole thing, though. Yep. Mm-hmm. That's right. As that's the reality of the situation, dudes. But yeah, Badger, great question, dude. Great conversation, man. Yeah, thank you. That got me fired up a little bit. You know, like, the reality, like, forgive me for being a little bit cynical in this matter, but I think you're right. I think that's what's going to happen. You can't stop SpaceX. You're not going to, you'd be crazy to be 100% honest with you. A day of reckoning is coming. And when it does, NASA better have their crap together. And this is why I've always argued SLS needs to launch more. NASA needs their own lander. You can't... Like, look, Jim, I understand why Jim chose Starship HLS for his lander, because he wanted to get a lander on the books because that's what his boss told him to do. And he did it, right? I understand. Makes perfect sense. With that being said, once Starship gets human rating certification, what the hell are we using SLS and Orion for? And that moment seems to be coming sooner rather than later, because Polaris Dawn, or Polaris 3, is going to be the first crewed Starship flight. So... Right? NASA needs a lander. That's why I've always said they need it. They need a lander. They need end to end. They need another Saturn V, CSM and LEM. They need architecture at least analogous to that. If you don't have that, you're looking at potentially billions of dollars out of the peaceful space exploration sector of the market. That's bad. Nobody gonna sit there and say a multi-billion-dollar contraction in the spaceflight industry is a good idea. That will have repercussions, and those repercussions will affect SpaceX. Ironically, yeah, it's gonna happen. That's how that's gonna pan out. Mark my words. Remember this conversation. Trust me on this one. I spend way too much time reading about this. Blue's lander might be ready before NASA at this pace. Serious, Blue's cooking, man, and I thank him every day. Blue's a monkey wrench in my whole analogy, dude, because once again, if Blue proves a significant competitor to SpaceX, now we're talking here. Pretty sustainable. Not as sustainable as what I said, but pretty damn sustainable, because there's nothing saying that they couldn't just wipe that entire thing out with a market contraction. Could happen.
I know you're having a serious conversation, but he had to come say hi today in chat, so.
Hi, Titan.
No? Titan!
Are you sure you didn't want to say hi?
No, I thought Titan. I just feel like chat needs a daily dose of Titan.
Titan. Hey, come here. You don't want to say hi to me?
Titan!
Guess not.
Chat, don't judge me. I'm still wearing what I wore yesterday.
Hey, buddy. How you doing? Nope, he wants something over there.
I think he was on a scent outside.
He was what?
He was on a scent.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Titan was on a scent.
Smell the bunny. When he smells a bunny, that's all that matters. My dog hyper focuses. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
I'm convinced he's like part beagle. It's like pit bull.
Oh, he's got hound in him.
Yeah.
He definitely has hound in him
Yeah.
somehow. Yeah. When he gets on a scent, he goes. He's definitely got hound in him. Hey, see? He came back in and looked at me like, what? All right, baby, I love you. Yeah. You smell that wabbit? Yep. Last, please. What's up? Do you think maybe NASA spread too thin with all their programs? I don't think NASA spread too thin with all their programs hired. I can talk more about that in a second if you want. Meanwhile, yeah, the Polaris Dawn link. Yeah, I've had that up the entire time while we've been saying this, dude. Your last VP was a weird dude. Somehow really cared about space, and he even revived the Space Council. Yeah, bringing back the Space Council was a good idea. It's still a good idea. If Primo didn't say anything, we wouldn't have known. Yeah. Anyway. Imagine trying to make LBG sound like a good. Oh yeah, no, he had the goat meals. That guy's in the 7th circle. If you catch my drift. I don't know, Hellfish. I can't answer that question. There was another question in here. There's another thing that I wanted to talk about. Do you think an administration with a Space Council member helps NASA? Yeah, of course. Let there be light. I don't know what that is, but all right. Yes, there is for sure. Hey, Tico.
Discovery, go and
Thank you for
throttle
the
up.
17 months. Oh, yeah, Vargon, you had a question. Unrelated question, but if you were to theoretically attach 2 Falcon 9 boosters to a Super Heavy, would it make a big difference? Honestly, I think Falcon 9s would be dead weight. I mean, yeah, of course it would make a difference, dude. Probably not that much of a difference. I mean, but yeah, it could work. That would be a complicated launch pad, but you could do it, sure. I mean, you could do anything. Just got to have the right vision. That's the point of this whole conversation. I'm just a peck of wood living in Mass that reads too much about space. Yeah. I'm out, old man. Nice, MacB. Smell something, Rabbit? Fear. I'm trying to figure out where we left off. Sorry. Anyway, I forgot. I forgot what I was saying. Anyway, here, check this out. We got an update about Polaris Dawn. The Polaris program's Polaris Dawn mission will be the first crew to perform a spacewalk from Dragon, fly higher in Earth's orbit than anyone since the Apollo program, and test laser-based Starlink communications and conduct research to help provide insight on human health during long-duration spaceflight. It's going to be awesome, man. Sorry I distracted you with the dog. Don't worry about it, Bree. It's all right. Don't give Elon any ideas. Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. Anyway, yeah, I think parity is the right way forward. It's probably not going to happen, but I'm not going to... yeah, Badger, I think the conclusion to that is that I think it's foolish to argue for less space flight. When historically, every time we've done that, NASA gets the shaft. I think that's an extraordinarily bad idea. And yet, you see people badmouth SLS all the time. Very short-sighted. Very short-sighted, if you ask me. Yeah. Yeah. I really wish that wasn't launching in the middle of the night. Yeah, micrometeorite, orbital debris. MMOD is the reason why they're launching at that time, Gold Falcon, because there are parts of medium Earth orbit that have less risk of getting pelted by space junk. Oh, it's her dog. Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I distracted you with me. That was my dog. Take care of my dog. I get it. It just sucks because I'll be asleep for work. Yeah, yeah. I know what you mean, man. I know what you mean. Anyway, dudes. Yeah. Yeah, that was a good conversation. Badger, if you're out there, tip my cap. That was a good question, and thank you for having a good discussion with me. It's always good to get the idea out. I'm sorry I kind of opened Pandora's box there, but yeah. That is the exact reason why I'm Team Space. I'm not just Team Space because, I want to be inclusive. Every rocket is good. I'm Team Space because the commercial market and the government market for scientific launches can dry up like that. I've seen it happen 2 times in my lifetime. One with commercial, one with the government. It happened when the dot-com bubble burst, and it happened when they canceled Constellation. It can happen. Don't think that it can't. It's naive to think that. So that's why I argue for everything. Like Rocket Factory Augsburg, I don't care about them, right? Like, do I care about them? No, I do though, because that's more rockets for space flight. That is a chance. That is hedging your bets and making a wider, robust commercial industry for space flight. That's good in the long run. That's a good thing. We want more of that. I'm up the European Space Agency's tail about, hey, great, you have Ariane 6 that's expendable. So what? Where's your spaceship? The Russians have a spaceship. The Chinese have a spaceship. The Americans have a spaceship. Where's yours? Tell me that Europe can't build a human-rated spacecraft? Ridiculous. This is why I am like this. Because, man, you don't. Stuff like Viper sucked. It hurt, didn't it? Viper, Chandra supposedly getting the axe. You don't want more of this. Trust me. Even I will tell you right now, even the people that hate SLS, like hate it vehemently, if NASA actually went and did what these people are saying, I guarantee you they would feel bad. I guarantee you. Do you guys want to see the VAB abandoned? Do you want to see that? You really want that picture in your head? You want to see 39B doing nothing? Do you want that? You want to see Mashoud doing nothing? I don't want that. I think that it's Stennis. I think that's an extraordinarily bad idea. You really want that? I don't want that. You want to see NASA? You want to see NASA facilities abandoned, like people go do the stupid urbex in Baikonur and see abandoned buildings from the space race? You really want that? I don't want that. I think that's a colossally big fuck up. If you really want my honest opinion, I don't think you want that. I think people will have it'll have repercussions, and people will not like the end result. I don't want that. That's awful. Why do you think I want SpaceX to take the VAB and use it for starships? Sorry. I didn't mean to get on the soapbox, but yeah. That's kind of why I never really talked about the intricacies to why I like SLS so much and why I also like Starship so much, but yeah. Okay. Yeah, Joe. Yeah, yep. You're a madman, sir. Yeah, I know. Who started R&D first, NASA or SpaceX? Without putting you into another tangent, why didn't the two just cooperate with each other, take equal responsibility financially, and rock out some sort of Starship SLS love child from the very start? Starship didn't exist when the SLS program started. Starship was a twinkle in Elon's eye. Dude, you got to remember, when SLS came on the books, Falcon 9 had launched twice. Falcon 9 had launched twice. NASA working with SpaceX then would be like NASA trying to work with, somebody that's unproven. Like, I don't want to dump on any commercial partners, but SpaceX, dude, they weren't sure if commercial was going to work. At the time, you weren't sure. Spin launch, yeah, there you go, exactly. Or Astra or something, right? That would be seen as a crazy thing to do. Right? And honestly, putting all your eggs in the commercial basket is what almost happened. Hey, Astra's making moves, man. Rocket 4 will happen. Yeah. People look at me funny when I say that, but it's going to happen. Watch. You wait and see. Hang around. Have I ever steered you wrong? Just wait. SLS Constellation didn't have to continue all the way to launch, though. Divert to other programs. Divert to other programs. What does that mean? Oh, that reminds me. Other programs hired. That's what you asked. Do you think NASA's programs are spread too thin? I don't mind that they're spread too thin. You can spread your programs out and do a vast majority of science. My thing is that having all these different programs do all these different things that have nothing to do with each other is creating infighting at NASA. That infighting turns into competition for costs and makes NASA's programs work against each other. Look at what happened with Viper and the Commercial Lunar Payload Services program. The reason why Viper got canned, NASA's rationale for doing that was because they were worried about funds being diverted from other missions. Cost overlap. Oops. If we had an integrated architecture and our scientific missions fed our scientific human exploration missions, ironically, like what Viper was supposed to do, makes it a lot harder to cancel it. I don't think they're spread too thin. I think they're scattered to the whim. To the point where different NASA facilities are competing over budget, when the reason why these NASA facilities were implemented was to spread the budget around so hard, so thin on an integrated program, that canceling one thing would have catastrophic repercussions for every other program, so nobody in Congress would argue to cancel the spaceflight program. That was the whole idea. Smart, very robust. NASA could just figure out a way to be revenue positive. Which politician is crazy enough to cancel a program that makes the government money? NASA makes the government insane amounts of money on capping because it brings high-paying jobs to congressional districts, and those people still have to pay income tax. Why is NASA designing telescopes and launch systems? It's just not the same thing. Those telescopes could be precursor missions to other things in the future. Now, James Webb, I don't know. James Webb is ridiculous to me. I'm happy it's flying and I'm happy it's good, but you guys ever see that scene in Silicon Valley where Nelson Baguetti goes to Gavin Belson, and he's like, we've developed a phone that you can control with your thoughts. And he's like, that's awesome. That's great. How does it work? And he goes, well, we haven't figured that out yet. That's how James Webb got funded. James Webb's funding goes back to the late 90s. The mirror technology took 20 years to develop. Oops. See what I'm talking about? The telescope missions can be precursors to further exploration. But once again, that's way down the road. I mean, we got to understand our solar system. We got to understand all that. Telescopes are an integral part of that. But you really, in order to sell this right, you really have to rope them all together. It's hard to make the justification that James Webb could be used for the Artemis program. And that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. That creates infighting. That creates division in NASA's ranks that pits the Science Mission Directorate against the Human Exploration Operations Directorate. That is bad. That's not good. I'm not against telescopes. Neither am I. They need to be precursor missions. And just like Viper needs to be a precursor mission. That's what JPL was made for, guys. That's what JPL specializes in, doing these precursor missions for space flight. You know? Anyway, that infighting is not helping us. You see it every day. Uncapping, you say something else? NASA could just figure out, revenue positive. Yeah. I mean, could Falcon Heavy send the lander Viper to the moon? No, Hired. You got confused. They canceled the rover. The lander is still funded because of contractual obligations. NASA somehow found it, and this is NASA. This isn't Congress, guys. NASA somehow found it to be more fiscally responsible to send a block of metal on a lander to the moon than their completed moon rover because of the cost it would have taken to get the moon rover to the landing site, or to the launch site. Yeah, you heard that correctly. Go read it. Go look it up. Lovely. Yeah, Vargon, it was supposed to be. Polaris 2, they floated the idea of a Hubble servicing mission, but NASA didn't go for it because rather than risk them screwing up the Hubble Space Telescope, they'd rather use it until it breaks. Does that sound correct to you? Does any of this sound right? It's not. It's not. You should have a problem with that. Yeah, NASA said, no, we don't want them touching it. We could probably get another 10 years out of it if we just deal with the broken components. You see why this is so frustrating? See why it's so frustrating? It's very frustrating. It's very annoying. Isn't there law forcing NASA to can any program that hits 130% budget? Okay, did I dream you asking that question, or did you ask that 2 times the other day and I told you I don't know both of those times? Please, my mind is already a piece of trash today. You got... Did I dream that, or did you ask that question? I really need to know to make sure I'm not going completely crazy. Somebody spin the top, see if it falls over. Why not sell SLS as customer payloads for process? Why not use SLS for commercial payloads? It's too expensive. Carries too heavy of a price tag, Sawyer. Nobody can afford it because they didn't make enough of them. I didn't even hear you respond that you didn't know, and I don't think I asked yesterday. Dude, somebody asked that exact same question. It was in a press conference about Starliner. So it wasn't yesterday. Monday? I don't know. I don't know how that contract structuring works. It depends. Contracts are a la carte. It's not like a blanket thing for every contract, you know? Because if that was the case, SLS would have gotten canned a long time ago. Yeah, something like that, Zeppelin. Hey, Z-Kraken, what's going on? I brought it up before, but I never got a response. Dude, I could have sworn I replied, but hey, whatever. I talk fast, so something's fine. Don't worry about it. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. EJC, you say, yeah. Grimlock, there you go. EJ saying, do you want to see the VAB abandoned? Really put how bad all this stuff really is.
Discovery,
That's
no
why
drama.
I will champion SLS till I'm blue in the face, Grimlock. Do you want that reality? I don't want that reality. That's awful. No one should want this in their right mind. I badly want to hear you ask some tough questions to these people. They would dodge the answer, Hellfish, because they all know. They would dodge the answer. I'd get a non-answer. Anyway. What about flat earthers? I don't let flat earthers occupy my headspace, Zeppelin. They're wrong. Am I gonna go searching out these people to prove them that they're wrong? No, I have better ways to spend my time. The best way to do this is to spend your time teaching if you really want to fight that battle. Yeah, Joe, I'm working on it. Grimlock, we gotta fix it, dude. You gotta fix it, man. You gotta fix it. I don't want that future. I think that would be terrible. I mean, what do I know? I'm just a Twitch streamer. I don't know. Anyway. Cool. I want to finish reading this. Let's read about contract procurement. Teledyne Brown Engineering is the prime contractor for the LVSA under a contract awarded in 2014. Contract valued at about $200 million was scheduled to end in September. NASA, in an August 14th procurement filing, announced its intent to extend that contract to at least September 2020. September 2026. That would allow Teledyne Brown to complete work on the third and final LVSA, as well as to ultimately conclude launch vehicle stage adapter activities under the contract. The proposed extension also includes several options for additional extensions. The first is a 9-month extension that would allow the contract to run through January of 2027. That would be exercised in the event an extension is necessary to conclude Artemis 3 launch and post-flight analysis in support of Administrator Nelson's public announcement on January 9, 2024, in relation to the current SLS launch manifest. Yeah. Yeah, Alex. Yeah, you'd never be invited back. That's the problem. You know, if I blacklist myself, NSF goes and NASA goes, and then I'm screwed. That is a reference to the announcement by the agency of delays in both Artemis 2 and 3 missions. At a January 9th briefing, NASA said Artemis 2 would be no earlier than September 2025, with Artemis 3 to follow no earlier than September 2026. The agency has not updated those launch dates since then. However, NASA has yet to publicly resolve one of the issues that prompted the Artemis 2 launch delay: erosion of the heat shield of the Orion spacecraft on the uncrewed Artemis 1 mission in 2022. It's also unclear if development of key elements for Artemis 3, notably the Starship lunar lander by SpaceX, are on schedule that could support a mission in 2026. NASA's action to extend the LVSA contract appears to anticipate additional delays. If additional revisions to the SLS launch manifest are necessary, it states the proposed extension includes an additional 5 option periods of 6 months each. If all are exercised, the contract would run through December 2029. Jeff Faust wrote that. See what I mean, guys? We're in trouble. That's a big problem. This is a big problem. The Artemis program needs to be fixed, and it needs to be fixed now. Remember, that window is closing. Where the heck is SpaceX going to be in 2029? Starship's gonna be human rated by then. There's no way it's not. There's no way Starship isn't at least in routine operation by 2029. There's no way. And NASA's going to be sitting there 2027, 2028, 2029 still making SLS Block 1B components. Or Block 1 components. Could fix this right now. See what I mean? You gotta pull their head out of their ass. It's not good. Not good. This isn't great. Yeah, I know, Aqualux. It sucks. Silly idea, maybe not so silly, but put Elon in charge and let him work his magic. I bet he could get them back on track. Elon would be a great NASA administrator, dude. He'd be real good. But I fear that he wouldn't last very long because he'd go in there and try to run it like SpaceX and everybody would hate him. He'd be like, why is it taking you 5 years to make one barrel segment for SLS? Get the hell out of here, you're fired. Think there might be a conflict of interest there, but yeah. You wouldn't be there to be liked. Hey, that's the game you gotta play, though. That's why this is so difficult to fix. Yeah, Sawyer, if I saw that right, he in line for a cabinet position. If, yeah, that happens. I don't think he would take it now that I'm really thinking about it. NASA administrator. I'm telling you, Jim was a good one, man. He was really good. That's why I said when he was there, I was like, dude, this is a once in a lifetime thing. Yeah, once in a lifetime thing, man. What we were seeing was freaking magic, dude. Do you guys remember that NASA town hall where Jim invited all the press and somebody asked him about putting Artemis 1 on Falcon Heavy, and he talked about wind tunnel analysis and, you know, recertifying Falcon Heavy? You remember, you know, he sat there and had a conversation with all the press about what it would take to redo something like that and how it's probably better to just push through to SLS to get Artemis 1 off the ground. You remember that? We don't see that much anymore. Can Jim rerun as NASA administrator? You don't run for NASA administrator, Sea Kraken. You're appointed. You're picked by the vice president. or the executive branch. You're picked by the executive branch, and then you have to go through a Senate confirmation. Sillier idea, put Bezos in charge of NASA. I don't hate it. I don't hate it. I'll be honest with you. After Tim's video, I gained a lot of respect for that guy. I mean, I already respected him pretty well. I knew he was a nerd, but dude, is he a nerd or what? That guy is a huge nerd. I dig it, man. Tory Bruno would be an excellent NASA administrator. That would be a great pick. But he'd have to leave ULA. I bet SpaceX goes to the moon without NASA. Maybe, AFMEC. Yeah, if we keep going on our current trajectory, they're going to leave him in the dust. Oh, hell yes. Isn't he trying to sell ULA? Yeah. Gwen would be a great pick, but I would not want Gwen leaving SpaceX. Bad idea. You need somebody that's politically competent, guys. Honestly. You need someone that's politically competent, but you also need somebody that's hell-bent on spaceflight like we are. That's why Jim was such a freaking good pick. Like a fighter pilot would be a great idea. Like Isaacman. That's perfect. Perfect. Rook would be great. He'd be a great administrator. Or Kid Poteet, Scott Poteet would be great, or any fighter pilot. Like, you need somebody like that. You need somebody like a Top Gun instructor to be NASA administrator. That'd be great. Yeah, Pythos, there you go. What about that one senator that would be an astronaut? Mark Kelly would be a great NASA administrator. Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's his wheelhouse, man. Pilot is a great pick for anything. Yep. 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 Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise. You know what? It would probably be really weird, but it would work. Tory Bruno's a good answer. Jeff Bezos is a good one. All right, what else did Eric Berger say? What do we got? NASA should add Falcon Heavy for Orion launching. For Orion test flights as fast as lunar reentry speeds. For Orion LEO missions, including manned test flights, ISS access. For Artemis 2 mission free return lunar flyby, saving cost and rare SLS rockets for another mission. Jim tried. No, he didn't. But yeah, whatever. Jarrett the Tiger, thank you for the raid. Peter Beck, yeah, maybe. Yeah, Thurfier, let's go, right? Jim proposed this as a potential contingency if he couldn't get SLS working. I don't ever recall these events happening. I don't ever recall that happening, ever. Jim proposed it as a concept, as a contingency if they couldn't get SLS running. The idea is that you'd save SLS for Artemis 2, right? Because he couldn't procure cores fast enough. which is still a problem to this day. That's the problem he was trying to fix when he left. I don't ever remember this happening. That did not happen like that. Am I crazy? Yeah, right. Collection, right? Yeah, Zeppelin, there you go. Hey, Natch, what's going on? There. When someone asks you you're crazy, you say yes. I mean, I know I'm nuts. Like, let me read this thread. I'm curious here. Hold on. Oh, I remember, and I also remember Shelby asking Elon questions during congressional hearings. You could definitely tell there was some really bad blood there. We all know why that is, but I guess it's not something anyone in journalism business wants to touch. It goes way back. Funny tidbit, on the first Falcon 9 launch in 2010, there was a delay due to a boat in the keep-out zone. As the Air Force worked to resolve it, someone at SpaceX photoshopped Shelby onto a jet ski and then passed the image around at launch control. Croc does a pretty good job. Nice. Senators from Alabama, where Marshall is, which has thousands of employees supporting SLS development. So yes, they call it the Senate Launch System for a reason. And Nelson, who launched it in the Senate, was appointed administrator for the same reason. Why spend a couple $100 million launching on Falcon Heavy when you can spend $4 billion on SLS? That's see, I already answered that question. Why that would be a good idea? But all right. Shelby controls NASA's budget. Shelby controlled NASA's budget. How is he going to control the budget as a senator? You know the House approves NASA's budget, right? The House proposes NASA's budget and the Senate approves of it, right? Like the whole idea is no one person is in control of it. How are you going to say that? Whatever. I'm not playing these games. I'm not doing it. How are you going to say that? How can you say that with such conviction? It's kind of silly. You found it. It was a town hall, unless I'm misremembering.
Solution either. I know. Out there, a Falcon Heavy.
Look,
This is going to near around the moon. Here's the thing: it's possible.
Listen.
Impact.
See, this is a NASA town hall where you proposed this. Like,
The side boosters on a Falcon Heavy in ways that right now we don't even know, which means we can changes.
Listen to this. This is the NASA administrator saying this. Compare that to now. Just listen here for a second.
Can we use any other kind of upper stage? And here's a solution that did work. A Falcon Heavy with a regular old Falcon upper stage and an Orion and a European service module. That actually did work on one rocket. Here's the problem. There is a whole host of challenges that had to be addressed. We talk about a Falcon being launched. You know, everything is integrated horizontally, and then the erector arm makes it vertical. Well, you put an upper stage with a European service module and an Orion on top of that. Making it vertical is extremely difficult. It would take a lot of changes to that erector arm. By the way, then the European service module would not have any of the hypergolics on it. So now you have to load the hypergolics in the vertical, which means that the launch pad itself would have huge changes that would need to be made. On top of it all, we're talking about putting a massive fairing on top of a Falcon Heavy, and that massive fairing, of course, is going to create some kind of shock wave as it goes through max Q, and those shock waves are going to impact the side boosters on a Falcon Heavy in ways that right now we don't even know, which means we got to go back into wind tunnel testing. At the end of the day, while that option was attractive and possible, there was so much risk and so much cost and so much schedule involved that it wouldn't accelerate on either cost or schedule. But here's the thing. It could be used in the future if we could get through all of that. The one downside of that is that it barely made it around the moon. It is true we could get around the moon, but it would be a free return trajectory, and there'd be no possible way to insert at the moon into an orbit. Not even a near rectilinear halo orbit, which is, of course, where the gateway would be. So even that capability was limited. That was not the right solution either. I know we're getting short on time, and this is more detail, but I think there's people here that are interested in this. At the end, there is another solution out there, a Falcon Heavy with an ICPS at the top. Talk about strange bedfellows. A Falcon Heavy with an ICPS at the top with a European service module and Orion crew capsule. That ultimately has the ability to put us to potentially, gosh, Gerst is going to be so mad at me for saying all this. But at the end of the day, by the way, none of this was cleared by Gerstenmaier. He's still the best rocket scientist that we have. No insult to anybody else in the room. So going back to at the end of the day, there is a solution here that could potentially work for the future. It would require time, it would require cost, and there is risk involved. But guess what? If we're going to land boots on the moon in 2024, we have time, and we have the ability to accept some risk, make some modifications. All of that is on the table. There is nothing sacred here that is off the table. And that is a potential capability that could help us land boots on the moon in 2024. I don't want to take away for 1 second the best option to get us to the lunar orbit as soon as possible is SLS and an Orion with the European service module. There is nothing that beats that capability, and right now what we're doing is everything possible to accelerate that. So instead of doing things in series, we're doing things in parallel. I'm going to anchor here. We've got some time. We've got 15 more minutes. Here, and by the way, when I went 1 minute over, when I did the budget rollout, they chopped me off on time. So I'm going to end right on time. They just did a hard cutoff, so I'm going to make sure that I don't do that again. Don't go over time on NASA TV. They will cut you off. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're the administrator or not. They're cutting you off. So the SLS.
That guy. Oh. God. Do you hear what he's talking about at the very end there? He's talking about urgency. He's talking about, you got to get this done. What the do you think he means? Badger, you still here? He's talking about urgency. He was doing this in 2018, man. You need it. It's urgent. You need to get this done quick. God damn it. Oh, jeez. Dude, I was getting fired up from that, and I've seen it already in, like, I was getting fired up from that, man. Compare that to, oh, we'll launch when we're ready because our heat shield breaks apart. Oh, why did they get rid of him? He's the whole package. The presidential election. Yeah. Jim. Ultimately, this president's vision for NASA is not what the previous president's was, and he said that the president needs somebody that he can trust to run NASA, and he didn't think he was the right man for the job, so he left. He was going to get replaced anyway. Look, man, the administrator is only as good as the leash the executive branch has on him is. Like, that's, you got to give the administrator the tools that they need to succeed. You don't do that. You don't give them a vision. You don't give them purpose. They're useless. That was a town hall. That was a town hall. I don't know what Eric Berger's talking about, to be honest with you guys. Like, and I'm not trying to just dump on that guy. Like, I'm trying not to do that, right? I don't know what he's talking about. He said he proposed it in a Senate meeting. He did not propose
Discovery,
that. The
go
first
at
time we
throttle.
ever heard about that was in that NASA town hall. That was a town hall, like a State of the Union for NASA. And somebody asked him that question. Like, I don't know what he's talking about. I don't... What? I don't think that happened that way. I mean, I could be wrong. Like, and Eric probably, he has contacts, clearly. He has a bunch of people that he knows at NASA, but I'm pretty sure that's not how that went down. He did propose it at the town hall. There's footage of it. I just said that, but that's not what he said right there. He said it was during a congressional hearing. That's not... We watched every single one of those hearings with Jim in there. He never did that. When play game. I don't remember him doing that. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I missed something. I just... Are you sure? Because that town hall that we just showed was the first time I ever heard about it. I don't know. Whatever. It's all good. Whatever. Don't go barking up his tree. Maybe I'm remembering wrong. Who knows? Here, look at this picture of Joe Barnard instead. Yeah, Alex, there you go. Use Vulcan. Use New Glenn. Orion needs a low Earth orbit testing regime. It always has needed a low Earth orbit testing regime, and anybody that's thought anything different is an idiot. Every single capsule, and that list is only 2, but every single human-rated space flight thing did multiple test flights before they entered operational status. Every single one of them. Some of them unmanned, some of them not. Why do we think we can do it differently with less budget and extended timelines? It's ridiculous. Those are pizza dough mixers that Joe uses to make solid rocket propellant, by the way. Yeah, in case you were wondering. Between two Hobarts. Forge, you got something?
I believe that we must have.
All right, let's see.
You're sort of like a...
No, come back.
I believe that we must have with NASA a unified and clear direction from the NASA, from the administration, and the Congress to achieve the goal of using an American rocket to put American astronauts on the moon. Ambiguity on options and the program, I think, only detracts from a lot of these efforts, and some of the recent comments made by you and others have arguably created confusion. It has with me. Could you take a minute or two and elaborate on some of what we discussed in our meeting yesterday about SLS and how it's the only launch vehicle capable of launching crew to land on the moon? And considering risk, cost, time, and other factors, your view as administrator about SLS being the option to ensure a successful crewed lunar landing mission in 2024. Is that too much?
No, sir. It's we're right in line on this. We have looked at options, and we have determined that the only option where we are going to be able to put humans on the surface of the moon in 2024, which is my mandate, is to utilize the SLS, which is, of course, will be by far the most powerful rocket in the American inventory. Nothing comes even, in fact, in the world, nothing comes close.
See that? Where? Okay, you see that, right? Shelby's asking that question, right? He's asking that question, and even in that town hall, right? Jim said we could consider using a Falcon Heavy, but we're not going to because SLS offers more capability. It's better to get off SLS operational than it would be to try and retool another rocket for this task. Right? And he just said the same thing in this meeting. He just said the same thing. How is that proposing Falcon Heavy as a viable option? In fact, Jim's saying the opposite of that. That's 2 instances now of him saying the opposite of that. What history is he remembering? What? That's what I'm getting really confused here because that's not what I'm hearing.
And not just the SLS, but utilizing.
It could be used for other things too, could it not?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. In fact, the SLS, when we talk about launching to Europa, for example, launching to Europa, if we use rockets that are currently available off the shelf, it would be a 7-year mission. And Europa being a moon of Jupiter, a water world, if you will, which we believe has a probability of having life. It's 7 years by conventional rockets that currently exist. With SLS, we can cut that down to less than 3.5 years. So it is a very capable asset for the United States of America, and it's really the only rocket that we're going to have capable of taking our humans to the moon in 2024.
I know the time has slipped on it some. It slips on a lot of things. But what's important to build that rocket and build it right, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
And I know Boeing, we've spent a lot of money on that. And I think it needs to be finished rather than go to something else, you know, that's out of expediency.
And we are close. We're getting very close.
This is where I'm getting confused. Between what was just said in those tweets there and this, does this make Shelby seem like an idiot? I don't think so. I think what he said is pretty straightforward stuff. Like, how is that any different than what I said a second ago about finishing that thing and getting it working? I don't. Am I like? It's not just my own confirmational bias, right? Like, please tell me I'm not nuts. Like, okay, I am nuts, but in this particular matter, this is a Senate Appropriations Subcommittee. Like, I don't, that's such like, that didn't happen. None of this happened. None of what he said none of that happened. Am I crazy? This. Am I nuts? Like. Okay, I'm good. I'm good. I've space news enough today. Let's play Hearts. Floating, I don't want to. I want to give the benefit of the doubt, man. I'm trying not to bark up the dude's tree, but that's not how that happened. Like, He's getting gaslit. Like, guys, please don't just echo chamber me. If you want me to go play Hearts, I'll go play Hearts. But please tell me I'm not nuts. Like, are you seeing what I'm seeing? Like, Harry Fart. 10-month resub. Yeah. Like, I'm not going crazy, right? Like, I mean, maybe. Yeah, Badger, I'm just, I don't get it. Not going crazy yet. I guess we're just supposed to let this slide and just be gaslit into, you know, revisionist statements about NASA's history. And we wonder why we keep falling for the same tricks over and over again. Okay. Okay, let's switch over to Hearts of Iron. We got to do some after hours.